Chapter 1309. Adjunct Liao was considered an expert in the army, but there was always one bad thing about him. Because he was a member of the royal family, he often didn't know his position, and often overstepped his authority, which made Jiang Bai very unhappy. Usually there wasn't any big situation, so he endured it. After all, he might die one day, so there was no need to care so much. But this time, he finally had a chance to save the country. He absolutely couldn't let this guy ruin it. Cough cough, Jiang Bai sat in his seat. His injuries hadn't recovered yet, so he immediately coughed a few times. There was even a trace of blood in his mouth. However, Jiang Bai acted as if nothing had happened. After wiping the blood off, he sat like this, waiting for the arrival of Li Zongjio or Qi Yinran. General, this bowl of red dates and lotus seed soup can replenish your blood and qi. Drink it quickly. The shopkeeper served a bowl of steaming lotus seed soup and handed it to Jiang Bai. Thank you. Jiang Bai touched his waist pocket and found that he forgot to bring money. In other words, Jiang Bai didn't need to bring money at all. He was running around the battlefield every day. Why would he bring money? To bribe the enemy? General, the lives of our people in Suishan City were saved by you. How can you charge for this bowl of lotus seed soup? The shopkeeper hurriedly said. Seeing Jiang Bai's action, he naturally didn't want Jiang Bai to pay. If he even took this money, he would be too black-hearted. In that case, he would suffer retribution in the future. Remember it first, I will ask someone to send it later. After Jiang Bai finished speaking, he directly drank the bowl of lotus seed soup in one gulp. It could be considered as slightly alleviating the injuries in his body. Are you looking for me? Just as Jiang Bai put down the bowl, a voice suddenly sounded beside him. It also made Jiang Bai stand up with a whoosh. Please forgive me, senior. Jiang Bai had no choice. Jiang Bai quickly said. Li Zongjio in front of him could definitely be said to be a ghost. He actually appeared in front of Jiang Bai in an instant, which made Jiang Bai completely unprepared. However, when Jiang Bai suddenly stood up, he once again aggravated the injuries in his body. Immediately, he coughed continuously because the aura in his body was not smooth. Li Zongjio glanced at Jiang Bai's condition. The condition of his body could be said to be terrible. Although Qi Yinran fought in today's battle, Jiang Bai was actually in a state of near death. He was hanging on by his own breath. Senior, please take action and save us from the battle of time. Just as Jiang Bai was about to kneel down, Li Zongjio reached out and gently pulled him up. You're about to die, yet you're still fighting for your life here. Li Zongjio said. Jiang Bai's eyes dimmed. He was the only one who knew his own body's condition. It was precisely because his condition was so critical that he might not be able to hold on for more than a few days that Jiang Bai could not wait to find Li Zongjio. Senior, please take action and save us from the danger of the battle of time. If you are willing to take action, you can easily save millions of lives. Jiang Bai said firmly. I don't care about these things. If you can give me what I want, I will give you what you want. Li Zongjio waved his hand and said, indicating that he did not care about things like reputation at all. Therefore, he did not need to think about using these things to bind him. May I know what senior wants? Jiang Bai looked curiously at Li Zongjio in front of him. He was already such an expert, what else could he not get? I need to know all the information about the teleportation array. Li Zongjio said. Originally, Li Zongjio could leave here and go to a higher level to look for clues. However, since Li Zongjio and Jiang Bai came here, there might be a reason behind it. Moreover, Li Zongjio still had not figured out the level of the top experts in the sacred martial realm. Before he made a breakthrough, he still needed to have enough strength to protect himself. Teleportation array? Jiang Bai was stunned. Then, he looked at Li Zongjio in front of him with an extremely strange look in his eyes. Senior, have you been in seclusion for more than 3,000 years? 3,000 years ago, the 10 major teleportation arrays in the sacred martial realm carried out the ritual of the fallen at almost the same time, directly bringing countless fallen cultivators. Then, these fallen cultivators continued to be teleported out from the teleportation arrays. 2,000 years ago, the experts of the human race gathered in the sacred martial realm and joined forces to destroy 7 teleportation arrays, greatly slowing down the speed of the fallen cultivator's teleportation. But from that moment on, the vitality of the human race's sacred martial realm was greatly damaged. Now, 3 teleportation arrays are under the control of the fallen cultivators. Jiangbai said. Li Zhongjiu understood when he heard this. He did not expect the sacred martial realm to undergo such a great change 3,000 years ago. It could even be said that it was an earth-shattering change. Therefore, when he heard about this matter, he was quite shocked. The remaining 3 teleportation arrays are completely protected by the fallen cultivators. The experts of the sacred martial realm have organized several attempts, but in the end, they all failed. They did not destroy the teleportation arrays, but they did slow down the speed of the fallen cultivators' teleportation. They set up some traps. If any fallen cultivators were to teleport here within 100 years, the weak ones would be directly obliterated in the arrays. Only the strong ones could survive. I see. It seems that it will be a little troublesome. Li Zhongjiu nodded, then looked at the pale-faced Jiangbai in front of him. With a wave of his hand, a stream of yuan qi was injected into Jiangbai's body. It immediately helped Jiangbai recover from his internal injuries, whether they were new ones or old ones. It only took 5 or 6 seconds for Jiangbai's body to undergo a drastic change. Jiangbai's eyes regained their radiance, and the light in his eyes was quite dazzling. He couldn't believe that the injuries in his body had healed just like that. Even if he were to recuperate now, it would take at least 3 to 5 years for him to recover. Moreover, the process would consume a lot of treasures of heaven and earth to complete it. However, in less than 5 seconds, Li Zhongjiu was able to heal all of his injuries. Who is the strongest cultivator now? Where is he? What is his cultivation level? Li Zhongjiu didn't care about Jiangbai's shock and gratitude. Even Jiangbai was in a dazed and surprised state. The strongest cultivator? Jiangbai immediately understood when he heard Li Zhongjiu's words. The strongest cultivators are the 7 saint immortals of the sacred martial realm. Apart from them, the sacred martial realm is under the sacred martial realm. The heavenly masters of the 5 great nations are all absolute saints. There are a total of 20 of them. Now, these 20 heavenly masters of the great nations are confronting the enemy's top fallen army. Although we have 1,000,000 soldiers here, it's actually just a small battlefield. Jiangbai said. Li Zhongjiu had a rough idea of the situation after hearing this. There were more than 20 absolute saints, and the saint immortals were obviously stronger than the absolute saints. This was just the number on the surface. In reality, there might be several times more than this. However, among the human race, so many experts were unable to destroy the fallen race. Instead, they were showing a tenacious resistance. This meant that there were even more experts in the biological world. Chapter 13:10. Li Zhongjiu also understood the general situation from Jiangbai. It seemed that it would not be easy to find the transmission array and leave this place. Even after such a long time, the Holy Mountain's top experts still hadn't been dealt with. Clearly, the fallen race had some ability. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to jump around until now. Moreover, the more they jumped around, the more powerful they became. Okay, I got it. You can go back first. Li Zhongjiu said. There was a pleading look in Jiangbai's eyes, because she did not receive any response from Li Zhongjiu. Li Zhongjiu also did not say that he would help, nor did he say that he would not help. This made Jiangbai have a glimmer of hope in her heart. Naturally, she hoped that Li Zhongjiu and Jiangbai could help. However, it was obviously whimsical to ask them to help for free. Senior Yanran has killed millions of fallen people today. Her body must be contaminated with the fallen qi. The experts of the fallen clan will soon come to find us. Jiangbai said. It was precisely because the generals had killed too many fallen ones that they were assassinated by the other party's experts. Therefore, most of the generals died in the assassination. The fallen clan was not afraid of constantly replacing generals. After all, as long as the fallen qi accumulated to a certain extent, the fallen clan would send assassins. Just the appearance of today's incident was enough to make the fallen clan send out an extremely top assassin group to assassinate Qi Yanran. Therefore, Jiang Bai was so anxious to take down the Black Snake Mountain fortress first. This way, at least they could arrange a defensive line in advance. After all, the difference between the beast men and the human race was quite obvious. As long as they were prepared, they could more or less know in advance. Oh, there is such a thing. Then let them come. Li Zongjia was surprised. No wonder when Yanran came back, she said that she wanted to refine something strange. Moreover, this thing seemed to be very difficult to deal with. Now that he heard it, it seemed to be the fallen Qi. If that was the case, then the several powerful existences of the Holy Mountain were probably in a group because of this matter, and did not act on their own. If they acted on their own, it would bring about great danger. After all, the other party would send existences of at least the same level. Jiang Bai naturally reminded her, but in his heart he was worried. After all, Qi Yanran had killed millions of fallen half-orcs today. The depraved aura of these half-beastmen would definitely be concentrated on Qi Yanran. After accumulating to a certain extent, the corresponding assassins would be sent to carry out the assassination mission. Qi Yanran's life was also in great danger. At the very least, the fallen tribe was able to force the experts of the sacred mountain to stay within the borders of the sacred mountain. Once they appeared, they would definitely be attacked by the experts of the half-beastmen. It could be seen that no matter how powerful Qi Yanran was, it was impossible for her to surpass those powerful holy immortals in the holy mountain. Therefore, in the end, only death awaited her. The only way was to escape to the sacred mountain. In that case, there was still hope. However, Jiang Bai wanted to say it, but Li Zongjia expressed that he did not care, so Jiang Bai sighed. Goodbye. After Jiang Bai left the inn, he ordered people to closely seal off the Black Snake Mountain fortress, and absolutely not allow any half-orcs to enter or leave. Even if they had wings, they would be shot down together. Although the effect was minimal, it was more or less preventable. In the Fallen War territory, the people of the 5 major tribes were almost annihilated in a day. It was the first time they had seen such a powerful enemy and such cruel means. Therefore, the main person in charge of the Fallen War territory, they also met each other. After some investigation, they finally confirmed that there must be a heavenly master from the Shang nation. To be able to kill millions of my warriors in an instant, it must be a heavenly master sent by the Shang nation. I want to see which blind person actually came to court death at this time. There were a total of 16 tribes in the Fallen War territory. The person in charge was called the Realm Lord. The patriarchs of the 16 tribes under his command were also elites. However, today, in just one day, 5 patriarchs and the military strength of 5 tribes were lost. This immediately made the fallen Realm Lord dumbfounded. There had never been such a big defeat. How could he explain this to the higher-ups? Although the half-orcs had a terrifying appearance and looked like half-human half-beast, there was absolutely no problem in terms of intelligence. They also had intelligence, but the cultivation method and the energy they absorbed were different, which led to the current change. We have already locked onto this person and reported it. Soon, a special group of assassins will come and deal with this person. The fallen Realm Lord comforted the patriarchs of the several tribes. Although such a big situation occurred in the attack on Suishan City, it could be said that they had achieved great victories in the battlefields of the other cities. It could be considered as an explanation. The sudden appearance of the Shang nation's heavenly master made it difficult for the realm lords of the small war territories to contend against. Suddenly, a cold wind swept across the hall. After the fallen race attacked the cities, they either killed everyone or tamed everyone. Those who were unwilling to be tamed were basically killed, and those who were tamed were quickly able to obtain powerful strength. Then, they picked up their weapons, turned around, and continued to attack their former compatriots. Such a situation was rather surprising to see. Therefore, after being conquered, basically everyone would either commit suicide or resolutely refuse to surrender, because living like that would already be soulless. The fallen race also occupied the cities, trained their soldiers and mined. They stored the people in the cities as food. Such an evil existence naturally had to be irreconcilable with the human race. Between them, they had long been in a situation where they could not coexist. It depended on who could lead the victory of this battle. Although this battle had been fought for hundreds of years, suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew across the hall. The candles flickered, and as they flickered, a few more figures appeared in the hall. The Lord of the Fallen Realm and the others were immediately shocked. Even if they were of the same race, they could not help but tremble in fear when facing these terrifying fellows. After all, these people appeared and disappeared unpredictably. They could take off your head with a light flick of their fingers. Do you think these people are terrifying? I heard that a Shang nation's heavenly master came, killing millions of my soldiers. A gloomy voice sounded from the hall. Chapter 13:11. All the clan leaders present, including the Lord of the Fallen Realm, were startled, and a chill rose in their hearts. It's here. The assassin group. Even though they were from the Fallen clan, they still felt incomparably terrified. This was because the assassin group was made up of the top experts of the Fallen clan. Once targeted by these people, the consequences would be unimaginable. The methods of these people could be said to be extremely cruel. No one had ever escaped from the assassin group. Once captured, it would be a very interesting beginning for the assassin group. They even treated torture as a kind of pleasure, an extremely enjoyable game. If these people who were sent to attack the city did not gain any results, and made no progress, the reapers of the assassin group would directly appear. They would be put on trial. The so-called trial was naturally a process of extreme torture. People of any rank could be punished. Therefore, every time these people from the assassin group appeared, it was a frightening thing for them. They had finally become half-beastmen. In order to survive, they had become fallen. But who knew that after becoming a fallen, there would be pressure? If they were not careful, they would be even more miserable. Sir, please sit. The Lord of the Fallen Realm quickly stood up and gave up his seat without hesitation. Then, a person suddenly appeared in the seat of the Lord of the Fallen Realm. As for the black shadows that were standing behind the clan heads, they instantly disappeared and reappeared behind the figures that were standing before them. My name is Wuxia. Take a seat. Don't be too reserved. Enjoy your last day. Wuxia said. The ice-cold words immediately caused the clan leaders to be stunned. What did he mean? Could it be that the higher-ups wanted to execute them? For so long, although they had suffered from the intense resistance of the Battle of Time, they had never retreated. Even if their progress was slow, they had still pushed forward more or less. It was unlikely that they would be killed because of what happened today. Sir. Wuxia glanced at the people in front of him. Their faces were filled with fear, panic, and bewilderment. Bloodless loved to see such expressions on their faces. They didn't even know when they were going to die. They couldn't even control themselves. They were like little lambs that had escaped from their mother's embrace. Hee, I was just joking. Isn't it funny? Wuxia said. A joke? Why don't you grab your sister and play with her? You're actually doing this kind of thing? Is it fun? These patriarchs were almost angered to death. If someone were to joke around with your life, do you think you would be happy? You don't think my joke is funny? Wuxia said. Immediately, the atmosphere in front of them became extremely cold again. After everyone heard this, they immediately laughed out loud as if this matter was very funny. Some were even lying on the ground, unable to get up. Lord of the Fallen Realm, you've lost the military strength of 5 tribes today, a total of 1 million soldiers. But now these people are actually laughing so happily. Especially this one, did you see that? He's actually laughing under the table. Wuxia said indifferently. His hands were hidden in his wide sleeves. Moreover, he gently swung his slender tail. It turned out that Lord Wuxia was actually a rodent half-beast man. Hearing Lord Wuxia's words, the people who were laughing suddenly froze on the spot. At this moment, they didn't know whether to laugh or not. However, the Lord of the Fallen Realm already understood what Lord Wuxia meant. Immediately, without hesitation, he took a step forward and came in front of the patriarch, who was laughing under the table. He raised his hand and directly smashed the patriarch's head. Bang! With the sound of a heavy hammer, a muffled sound could be heard throughout the hall. No one expected the Lord of the Fallen Realm to be so decisive. Moreover, they were just discussing things together a moment ago. In the blink of an eye, Someone's head was smashed. Moreover, Lord Wuxia obviously wanted to kill one as an example to others. Or perhaps, he liked the feeling of being in control of life and death. Looking at these people who lowered their heads and didn't dare to act rashly, Wuxia shook his hand helplessly. This is so boring. You guys really don't make me feel the least bit spirited. Since a heavenly master from the Shang nation is here, let me see how capable you are. After Wuxia finished speaking, his figure disappeared from the hall. The assassination team that came with them also disappeared from the main hall. Only when Lord Wuxia left did they completely heave a sigh of relief in their hearts. So be it. He even specially came to play with them. Looking at the corpse on the ground, the remaining 10 patriarchs also lowered their heads. Obviously, they were observing a moment of silence for the person who had just been killed. How pitiful. Let Tashin take in this idiot's subordinates. The Lord of the Fallen Realm didn't want to say anything more. Killing such a person didn't make any waves to them. It was only because they saw the fate of the patriarch that they thought of their own fate. In the Fallen Realm, class represented absolute power. The people in the upper echelons could easily control the life and death of the people in the lower echelons. They could easily execute them. There was no dignity to speak of. They didn't even think highly of you. Therefore, in order to obtain class and status, one had to perform meritorious deeds. Only after performing meritorious deeds could one be promoted. Only then would one have the opportunity to control one's own life. Obviously, the Fallen Realm wasn't easy to survive in. However, Wuxia was also considered to be in the upper echelons of the Fallen Realm. He had the cultivation equivalent to the primitive emperor of the human race, and was proficient in assassination. He could hide in the darkness without making a sound. When he took a person's life, there would be no movement at all. At this moment, there were a total of 20,000 soldiers stationed in the Black Snake Mountain Fortress. The fortress had also been rebuilt. With the current technology, it was naturally very easy to repair these fortresses. It was precisely because they had mastered these powerful technologies that in terms of construction and other aspects of development, they were far superior to the half-beastmen, who only knew how to use force. Therefore, under the crazy attacks of these people, they tenaciously persevered until now. Under the pressure of these half-beastmen, some of their engineering skills had also improved by leaps and bounds. If you didn't complete something, if you didn't create something, you would die. He was easily killed by someone else. Little ones, do you smell the smell of fresh blood? There are about 20,000 people here. All of them will become your food. Chapter 13:12. As soon as Wuxia finished his words, 6 black figures suddenly rushed into the fortress of the Black Snake Ridge Fortress. Immediately a massacre ensued. In just a moment, the entire fortress was filled with the sounds of killing. The soldiers in the fortress did not even know who they were facing. They were killed in the dark. Fear and panic were spreading throughout the entire military camp. However, Jiangbai had already prepared beforehand. Obviously, he had expected the enemy to vent their anger on the ordinary soldiers. He had already instructed them to use the ultimate weapon immediately if anything happened. A deputy commander in the army immediately ordered someone to open the ultimate weapon. The so-called ultimate weapon was actually a yuan energy cannon that could release lightning attributes. However, this origin energy cannon was quite powerful. Moreover, the origin energy cannon also had a lifespan. Every time it was used, it would wear out. As an extremely important secret weapon, Jiangbai had arranged for the lightning origin energy cannon to be placed here, because he wanted to catch them off guard. Wuxia stood on a small hill and stared at the scene below. Suddenly, the cold smile on Wuxia's face froze. Then, he leaped and fled into the distance. Boom! Half of the fortress's defense was blasted into pieces. Furthermore, there was still a continuous stream of lightning surging out. One of the lightning bolts was also rapidly heading toward Wuxia. This was because the lightning yuan energy cannon also had the ability to track people. It could also detect the aura of the fallen people nearby. If it was on the battlefield, this cannon was enough to kill tens of thousands of fallen people. However, tonight's cannon only killed 5 half-beastmen. These beastmen were already yuan monarchs. However, They were easily killed by the attack of the lightning yuan energy cannon. Two escaped. The deputy commander saw the lightning bolts and chased after them. However, it seemed like he did not manage to catch them. He could not help but feel resentful and stomped his foot. In just a few minutes, more than 1,000 soldiers stationed in the Black Snake Ridge fortress had been killed or injured. This was a huge loss. If the lightning yuan energy cannon had not been used in time to force the beastmen away, it would not have been long before everyone in the fortress would have been killed. Thinking of this, he more or less dodged a calamity. Quickly report the situation to the general. The deputy commander glanced at the lightning source energy cannon in front of him. This lightning source energy cannon had already been completely scrapped. The last chance had already been used. The next time these people launched a surprise attack, they would not have the strength to withstand it. Bloodless and the other Hitman squad member also quickly retreated. Fortunately, the two of them were quite fast. Therefore, they weren't hurt by the lightning source energy cannon. Otherwise, as long as they came into contact with it, the energy would start to gather towards them. They didn't know how these weak humans made these terrifying weapons. Lord Wuxia, our troops. The assassins who were lucky enough to escape saw their companions being killed by the enemy with their own eyes. They were fixed on the spot and killed cleanly. He didn't even have the ability to escape. Therefore, he himself also had a lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, he ran quickly just now, although Bloodless was confident that he could withstand this attack. But as an assassin, his whereabouts must not be exposed. Otherwise, what was the difference between him and those useless people? To really live in the dark, to come and go without a trace, this was the highest level. It seems that they have made some arrangements. Let's withdraw for today, Bloodless said faintly. Looking at these people in front of him, they should be prepared. In this case, there was no need to take action at this time. Today he lost 5 men. Bloodless would never let this matter rest. It was not easy to come out to carry out a mission. Of course, Bloodless would not be so bored. He directly killed the target, and then obediently went back to report. At least he wanted to have more fun. Such a rare opportunity, of course, he wanted to release the darkness in his heart. He wanted to let these people in front of him suffer all the pain he had suffered. Living in the dark for a long time, of course, this mentality would become quite distorted. Moreover, Bloodless and these people were no longer normal people. It had become normal to not put life in their eyes. No need, you can't leave today. Just when Bloodless and Bloodless were about to leave, however, a voice stopped them in their tracks. This voice seemed to have appeared out of thin air, directly above their heads and into their ears. The two of them paused for a moment. Who is it? Bloodless' eyes suddenly emitted a cold light. At this moment, with his perception, there was no way to sense the existence of this person. This meant that the strength of this person was far above him. Even this concealment technique was better than his. Here, Bloodless quickly caught a figure, and immediately smiled. In Bloodless' eyes, he was the one who forced the other party out. Haha, I didn't expect that there would be a human who is not afraid of death. When he saw that Li Zongjia was just a human youth, Bloodless' smile became wider. If it was a white-haired old man who came out, then with Bloodless' experience, he should be careful because the other party was likely to be an expert who had cultivated for hundreds of years. But a child? Bloodless had fought countless battles on the battlefield and had seen all kinds of ruthless characters. Some of the more difficult human experts had died under his sharp teeth. But the experts among the children were basically people who pretended to be strong. None of them were really strong. Lord Bloodless, let me break his 4 limbs first, then let you torture him slowly. Another assassin said respectfully. Then, he looked at Li Zongjia with eyes full of murderous intent. Bloodless nodded. In the next second, his figure disappeared from the spot. Boom! In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Li Zongjia. Die! When Li Zongjia saw the person rushing over, he immediately sent a slap over. Bang! The assassin's head instantly separated from his neck and flew into the distance. What? A look of surprise flashed across Wu Shui's eyes. Then, his expression turned ferocious. He opened his mouth, and the shape of his head instantly changed into that of a mouse. His sharp teeth shone with a cold light. Chapter 13:13. A cold light flashed in Wuxia's eyes. In the next moment, his figure actually disappeared into the darkness. He disappeared. From an outsider's point of view, it was a very strange scene, because Wuxia's figure just disappeared on the spot. Even if you looked around now, you wouldn't be able to see any movement. If an ordinary person saw such a strange situation, they would think that they had seen a ghost. However, such a trick was simply a small trick in front of Li Zongjio. Moreover, Li Zongjio just stood there and didn't move, allowing Wuxia to play tricks. Furthermore, Wuxia's figure seemed to be quite fast. If you like running so much, then run a few more laps. Suddenly, Li Zongjio's hand directly grabbed into the darkness. Then he grabbed a figure and pulled him out. Boom! Without saying a word, he directly threw the figure in his hand far away. Wuxia didn't even have time to react. He was directly caught by Li Zongjio and directly thrown a few miles away. During this process, he had no way to control his own body. Bang! Wuxia was directly thrown into a mountain wall. A cave was smashed out. Wuxia's body was also stuck in the cave for a long time, before he could take a breath and get out. How is this possible? It must be a coincidence. Wuxia couldn't believe it. Did Li Zongjio directly catch him just now? How is this possible? How can such a thing happen? However, how can he explain being directly thrown here? No, this kid must have a treasure that can restrain me. Wuxia thought. Today's luck isn't good. Let's retreat first. Wuxia didn't plan to go back. Those low-level beastmen were the kind that didn't have brains. If they were told to charge, they would charge directly. However, Wuxia wasn't like that. He was the kind that had brains. He would never sacrifice his life for nothing. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, he quickly retreated. Otherwise, it would be too late for regrets if he encountered any problems. It seems that this person is the heavenly master of Shang. I'll let you be arrogant for now. When I call the experts of the Dark Hall over, I'll see how long you can be arrogant. These were the highest ruling bodies of the beast men. It was called the Beast God Temple. As for the Dark Hall, it was a branch of the Beast God Temple. The assassins were all from the Dark Hall. Wuxia's strength and talent were at the bottom of the Dark Hall. The reason why he was sent here first was because he was going to be cannon fodder. Therefore, Wuxia was not worried that he would not be able to find someone to deal with Li Zongjio after he returned. However, he neglected one thing, which was what Li Zongjio had said at the beginning. He didn't have to leave. Where are you going? Li Zongjio suddenly appeared in front of Wuxia. Suddenly Wuxia shuddered. His opponent's speed was truly faster than his. Soul-sealing pearl. Suddenly, Wuxia threw out a black bead from his hand. This bead seemed to contain the resentment of tens of thousands of humans, which was why it could produce such a huge and terrifying energy. If the energy was dispersed, it would directly trap Li Zongjio's soul. However, Li Zongjio also activated his mental strength and directly suppressed the power of the soul-sealing pearl. Then, he reached out and grabbed the soul-sealing pearl in his hand. After Wuxia threw out the soul-sealing pearl, he immediately jumped up and fled into the distance. His figure instantly blended into the darkness, and dozens of his figures were split into two. He wanted to deceive Li Zongjio's eyes and buy himself some time. However, in front of Li Zongjio, such an action was indeed superfluous. Boom! Li Zongjio's figure flashed and appeared behind Wuxia. Then, he hit Wuxia's back with his palm and directly sent him flying. This time, Wuxia was half crippled. After falling to the ground, it was very difficult for him to get up. Li Zongjio's figure landed on the ground. Wuxia, who was lying on the ground, did not know how to react. How could Li Zongjio's strength be so powerful? In front of him, he was like a small grasshopper that could not jump away no matter how hard he tried. He was easily grasped by Li Zongjio's palm. Look into my eyes. Li Zongjio's words were like a thunderclap that exploded in Wuxia's head. Wuxia subconsciously opened his eyes and met Li Zongjio's eyes. In the next moment, a vast, turbulent, stormy wave of power directly bombarded him. In an instant, it penetrated Wuxia's head. At the same time, Li Zongjio completely destroyed Wuxia's mental strength and plundered all the things contained in Wuxia's mental strength. After a while, Wuxia's body was paralyzed. Li Zhongjiu casually threw him to the ground and gradually turned him into a stiff corpse. Li Zhongjiu immediately closed his eyes and digested the information he plundered from Wuxia. He digested it bit by bit. Finally, Li Zhongjiu opened his eyes. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. Beast God Temple. Li Zhongjiu's eyes flashed. Clearly, the power contained in the Beast God Temple shocked Li Zhongjiu. What a powerful organization, the Beast God Temple. As far as Li Zhongjiu knew, there were more than 100 people in the Dark Hall who were at the Paragon level, including those without a bloodline. These 100 people were all Supreme Being experts. Among them, there were probably many peak Supreme Being experts. As for the Dark Hall's 2 Hall Masters and 4 Deputy Hall Masters, they had surpassed the peak Supreme Being realm. The Dark Hall was divided into 2 main halls, the Assassination Hall and the Judgment Hall. Therefore, there were 2 Hall Masters. In the Dark Hall, an organization under the Beast God Temple, there were a total of 6 Supreme Being experts. Therefore, it was quite difficult for the 7 Supreme Being experts of the human clan to resist. In that case, it was a very dangerous situation. No wonder the human clan's situation was getting more and more dangerous. With such a situation, how could it not be dangerous? Wouldn't it be more careful? However, Li Zhongjiu didn't find any information about the teleportation array in Wuxia's mind. Obviously, Wuxia's level wasn't high enough to touch the teleportation array. Therefore, it wasn't valuable. He still needed the other party to send more powerful experts. Li Zhongjiu's figure flickered and disappeared from where he was. He returned to Suishan City. At this moment, Qi Yanran had also completely refined the depraved energy. If an ordinary cultivator was contaminated by the depraved energy, it would be difficult to get rid of it. However, in Qi Yanran's hands, it was a little wishful thinking. She could easily refine it. However, the depraved energy was difficult to get rid of. It would be absorbed by the fallen clan. Therefore, Qi Yanran couldn't let the depraved energy leave. Chapter 13-14. Seeing that Li Zhongjiu had returned, Yin Yanran looked at Li Zhongjiu. She condensed the depraved energy in her hand into a turbid bead and placed it in her palm. How should I deal with this thing? With my strength, it will take at least a few months to completely refine it. Qi Yanran said. Don't underestimate the thing in her hand. Although it was only a little bit big, if it was released directly, the entire Suishan city would be turned into ruins. Therefore, the first thing to do was to maintain its stability. After some research, Qi Yanran also discovered that the depraved aura in her hand often tended to be unstable. If she could not continue to refine it, she would be able to refine it. If the depraved energy in her hand couldn't be refined continuously, it would form an extremely powerful explosion. It wasn't something that ordinary people could withstand. Therefore, even if the other party didn't send an expert to assassinate Qi Yanran wouldn't be able to extract the depraved energy. Sooner or later, she wouldn't be able to control the depraved energy and would be detonated by it. This made Qi Yanran see the power of the fallen clan. Let me see. Li Zhongjiu took the bead condensed by the depraved energy and observed it. He wanted to refine it with his spiritual fire, but he found that it was impossible. However, Li Zhongjiu's body seemed to be releasing a force. Demon-suppressing ruler? Li Zhongjiu stretched out his hand and waved. Since the soul-burning array was broken, the demon-suppressing ruler was useless. In the past, Li Zhongjiu and the King of Fire almost died in the demon-suppressing hall. It wasn't easy for them to obtain the demon-suppressing ruler, but Li Zhongjiu always felt that the power of the demon-suppressing ruler wasn't as strong as he imagined. How could it become a supreme treasure? Therefore, Li Zhongjiu was quite suspicious. However, those ancient demon clans couldn't pose a threat to Li Zhongjiu, so the demon-suppressing ruler in his hand was idle. However, the demon-suppressing ruler had taken the initiative to appear. With a gentle pat, it easily absorbed all the depraved aura. I didn't expect this thing to have such an effect. Li Zhongjiu was also shocked. Obviously, the devil-suppressing ruler's magical effect was beyond Li Zhongjiu's imagination. Qi Yanran also looked at the devil-suppressing ruler in Li Zongjio's hand with great surprise. This ruler of yours has a very strong power. Qi Yinran had the Bluebird platform and the inheritance of the Heavenly Sparrow clan. Naturally, she could sense some special energy. Now, she knew that the power hidden in the demon-suppressing ruler was not simple. This is the devil-suppressing ruler. Li Zongjio then explained what happened in the demon-suppressing palace. Then let me see your unparalleled sword. Qi Yinran didn't mind the appearance of King of Fire. After all, if it weren't for the King of Fire, Li Zongjio might have died by now. So she had to thank the King of Fire very much. Li Zongjio directly took out the unparalleled sword. The aura of the unparalleled sword itself was quite strong. However, Li Zongjio had yet to fully unleash the power of the unparalleled sword. In addition, the King of Fire was also in a weakened state, so he couldn't fully display his strength. Let me try. Qi Yinran took the unparalleled sword, and then directly injected a force into it. Li Zongjio, of course, was not worried that Qi Yinran would do anything irrational. Instead, he looked at Qi Yinran's power with great interest. Buzz! Then the King of Fire, who was hidden in the unparalleled sword, seemed to feel the injection of the spiritual spring-like power. Bit by bit, his aura increased, recovering the essence Qi that had been consumed. In the battle with the Heavenly Demon Tribe, the unparalleled sword had also exhausted its power. It showed how difficult it was for Li Zongjio and the others to fight against the Heavenly Demon Tribe. The aura of the King of Fire was also rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. Now the King of Fire was also quite strong. Boom! In the room, it was as if a fireball had rolled in. Then the figure of the King of Fire was also born from the fireball. The flames lingered around the body of the King of Fire, hidden and full of power. This move of yours is really powerful. Li Zongjio didn't expect that Qi Yinran's ability could have such an effect. Repairing spiritual weapons is also an ability that I inherited, but I haven't tried it before. Now it seems that the effect is good. There was a little sweat on Qi Yinran's forehead. Obviously, the process just now was not very easy, but seeing the appearance of the King of Fire, who had saved Li Zongjio's life, made Qi Yinran smile. Your Excellency, King of Fire. Qi Yinran said politely. Now, Qi Yinran's strength had far surpassed that of the King of Fire. However, when the two met, the King of Fire's strength was also far above Qi Yinran's. Moreover, the King of Fire had taken care of Qi Yinran many times. Your power is very special. The Fire Wraith King looked at Qi Yinran in surprise. He could clearly feel the uniqueness of the power that Qi Yinran released, which was why he was quite surprised. You finally recovered. Li Zongjio was also very happy. Originally, repairing the unparalleled sword was also an important thing for Li Zongjio, but it had been delayed for a long time, and there were even 2 primitive stones that had not been taken yet. Now it seemed that he could not go back for a while. You're stronger than me, so you don't have to call me Your Excellency. Just call me by my name. The King of Fire looked at Qi Yinran and said. She was just a sword spirit, so she couldn't do anything. Moreover, in the Fire Wraith King's heart, he only treated Li Zongjio as a friend. He didn't have any other thoughts, or rather, he didn't understand other thoughts at all. Then what's your name? Qi Yinran asked. He couldn't just call him the Fire Wraith King, right? The Fire Wraith King was just a title, not a name. Yes, I don't know your name yet. Li Zongjio also looked at the King of Fire curiously. Originally, Li Zongjio did not care about these things. But who would have thought that the King of Fire would directly become the sword spirit of the unparalleled sword? He could no longer leave Li Zongjio, so he had to have a name. Otherwise, it would be a little strange to call him King of Fire, King of Fire. However, the King of Fire himself was also stunned. When it came to names, the Fire Wraith King had never cared about them, and the name King of Fire was called by others in the past. You don't know your name? Then I'll give you one. Li Zongjio was eager to try. Both women looked at Li Zongjio. After a moment of silence, Li Zongjio looked at the unparalleled sword in Qi Yinran's hand. Since you have a close relationship with the unparalleled sword, you will be called Fire Sword in the future. After saying that, even the Fire Wraith King, who had always been mild-tempered, threw a flame at Li Zongjio. Qi Yinran also directly raised the unparalleled sword, and was about to stab Li Zongjio to death. She was really capable of saying anything. How could a girl give herself the name Fire Sword? How about I call you Unparalleled? Unparalleled Fire, how about this name? Chapter 13:15. Huo Wushuang. The Fire Wraith King mumbled to himself. Alright, I'll be called Huo Wushuang from now on. You can call me Wushuang. After Huo Wushuang introduced himself, he actually laughed. It was a sense of recognition. Such intimacy made Huo Wushuang feel a sense of warmth. Speaking of which, this is the first time I've seen you smile. Li Zongjio looked at Huo Wushuang's smile, and was surprised. After going through so many trials and tribulations with Huo Wushuang, they were very familiar with each other. However, it was rare to see Huo Wushuang smile. In his memory, he had never seen such a thing happen before. I'm a little happy that I have a name, Huo Wushuang said. In fact, Huo Wushuang had lived in the sacred flame royal city for so many years, but no one cared about the name of the King of Fire. They only knew that she called herself King of Fire. That was why such a situation happened. Your power is so strong. I've almost recovered all of my strength. Huo Wushuang looked at Qi Yanran. The power I inherited seems to be related to restoration. I'm not too sure about the specifics. I'll have to test it. You can restore magic treasures. Li Zongjio looked at Qi Yanran with surprise in his eyes. This was an extremely powerful divine ability. Not only magic treasures, I think I can restore people too. Qi Yanran turned her wrist, and a power shining with 5 kinds of light appeared in her hand. It's called the 5-colored divine light. Qi Yanran said. 5-colored divine light? Even Li Zongjio had never heard of it. Obviously Li Zongjio, the #1 expert in the Holy Martial Continent, was still not enough. Although Li Zongjio had become the #1 expert in the Holy Martial Continent, he might not even be ranked in the Holy Martial Realm. It was a blow to Li Zongjio. However, with the various methods he had now, Li Zongjio would at least not be so passive. In the past, Li Zongjio was like a frog at the bottom of a well. Fortunately, Li Zongjio had successfully jumped out of his shell. As of now, the Infernal Prajna Technique's 10 hells had only been cultivated to the 4th level. Fiery Hell, Blood Soul Hell, Spiritual Hell, Spiritual Energy Hell. In the Spiritual Energy Hell, Li Zongjio specially stored primordial stones and the like in a place rich in spiritual energy. At the moment, it seemed like he would need to expend a lot of energy to smith the other parts. I've never heard of it, but I'm sure that if this 5-colored divine light can be cultivated to the extreme, it will have endless power. Even if a hole appears in the sky, it will be able to repair it. Li Zongjio exclaimed. After Huo Wushuang walked around the area, she felt a little tired and returned to the unparalleled sword to rest. After all, Huo Wushuang was already an artifact spirit. She could not leave her body for a long time. In the future, when Li Zongjio's strength improved, he would be able to transfer power to Huo Wushuang's body, allowing her to stay outside for a longer period of time, just like how a person needed to sleep. After exercising for a while, she returned to the unparalleled sword to rest. I'll also study the demon-suppressing ruler, Li Zongjio said. After all, both of them were top experts in the world. When they knew that there were more powerful enemies, they naturally wanted to improve their cultivation. Just as Li Zongjio was studying the demon-suppressing ruler in his hand, hundreds of thousands of miles away, in the middle of a huge teleportation array, there was a building that towered into the clouds. The building seemed to have directly drilled out of the teleportation array. Obviously, this mysterious building spanned across 2 worlds. It seemed that halfway through the teleportation array was destroyed and stopped operating. Outside the teleportation array, there were more than 20 experts in black robes. They were using all of their strength to transfer power to the array, forcibly maintaining the array in a low-speed state. If they did not maintain it, the mysterious building would be crushed in an instant. The remaining half would not be able to be teleported over. It was because these experts were using their own yuan power to maintain the teleportation array that such a strange situation was created. It was amazing. Everyone hold on. The elders are thinking of a way to make the teleportation array work again. They will teleport our divine palace here. Yes. It's already been 300 years. Who knows how long the elders will take to figure out a way. I saw a bloody light shoot up to the sky from the dark hall. It seems that many things have happened recently. What can happen? With that old bastard Tian Ming watching, it's impossible for anything to happen. These 20 people sat there every day, feeling extremely bored. Therefore, they were very sensitive to the situation around them. Therefore, they liked to talk with assurance. In fact, if these 20 people moved together, they would be able to take down the sacred mountain of the sacred martial realm in an instant. However, in order to maintain the integrity of this mysterious building, they had to maintain their strength here. They could not leave. Being able to maintain the teleportation array in such a state for hundreds of years was enough to show how terrifying their strength was. Below the Dark Hall, Assassination Hall, assassins had died near the Battle of Time. Moreover, it seemed that many of them had died overnight. This attracted the attention of the manager of the Assassination Hall. Immediately, the manager of the Assassination Hall collected and organized the information. With so many people dying, it was natural that he would be able to sense it immediately. Under normal circumstances, the hall master and the deputy hall master did not need to appear. It was enough for the managers to appear and make arrangements. These managers were also top-notch existences. Shuemia, immediately lead your men to the Battle of Time and find the person who killed Shui Wu. It should be a heavenly master from the Upper Empire who killed millions of our people. The manager of the Assassination Hall said. Yes, Lord Manager. In the darkness, dozens of blood shadows flew out. They quickly rushed towards the Battle of Time. Boom. These dozens of figures were all Origin Emperors. The leader, Shuemia, had reached the peak of the Origin Emperor realm. If he transformed, he could even fight against a Supreme Being expert. Transformation. It was an ability that only high-level half-beastmen could possess. Once they transformed, their strength would increase by several times. These people were the peak assassins of the Assassination Hall. Even a true heavenly master from the Upper Empire would die if he met them. Chapter 13-16. Li Zongjiu and Qi Yinran also stayed in Suishan City for a few days. Li Zongjiu was the only one who knew about this. Since he killed the people of the Assassination Hall, the other party would definitely come looking for him. If he left at this time, the other party might really kill everyone in Suishan City. However, these people couldn't act so unscrupulously. There must be some kind of restriction in it. Otherwise, with these people's skills, how could the people of Suishan City resist them? Jiang Bai received the battle report from the Black Snake Mountain Fortress. The battle was extremely tragic. They lost at least 5,000 people, and their powerful weapons were used up. Now the entire Black Snake Mountain Fortress only had soldiers left to defend it. It was an extremely weak defense. Jiang Bai ordered people to set up some destructive traps in the Black Snake Mountain Fortress, and then took the lead to retreat. Staying in the Black Snake Mountain Fortress was a dead end, so it was better to return to Suishan City to set up a defense. He repaired some large weapons and equipment. At the same time, Jiang Bai also requested some supplies from the kingdom. After the supplies were received, they could continue to fight. But last night, Suishan City was incomparably quiet and didn't suffer any attacks. According to the character of the Assassination Hall's experts, once they came out, they would definitely go crazy and kill people for revenge. The quiet Suishan City also made Jiang Bai realize that someone had made a move. Since someone had made a move, it was most likely Li Zongjiu and Qi Yinran. A light flashed in Jiang Bai's eyes. Although Li Zongjiu and the others looked very cold on the surface, in fact, they were human compatriots after all. In fact, they were in a soft-hearted state. Therefore, if he could continue to persuade them, there might be a chance. Jiang Bai once again came to look for Li Zongjiu and Qi Yinran. This time, Li Zongjiu and Qi Yinran didn't directly refuse Jiang Bai. The main reason was that Qi Yinran wanted to help them. In fact, helping them was also helping herself. Perhaps one day, after the Saint Martial realm was breached, it wouldn't be long before the Saint Martial continent was next. After all, every place in the chain was on the same continent. It was only because there was a power protecting it that it was impossible to travel from the sacred martial realm to the sacred martial continent. How can we help? Qi Yinran asked. Hearing Qi Yinran's words, Jiang Bai's face suddenly froze, because she really never thought that it would be so smooth. Qi Yinran agreed without hesitation, which made Jiang Bai feel that happiness came too suddenly. Soon after, Jiang Bai sorted out his thoughts. We received a report from the front lines. Of the 5 countries in the War of Time, 3 of them have already been breached. We need to send reinforcements immediately. The moment the Great Formation was formed, a terrifying light seemed to soar into the sky. From the surroundings of Age Mountain City, countless flames gathered in the sky above the city. After the energy gathered, it formed an extremely huge firebird. If they could fully display the might of the Great Formation, it would be a great formation. It would form a divine beast, the vermilion bird. It was a pity that the 2 of them were still a little unfamiliar with the formation. However, it was their first time working together, and they were able to set up an 8th level formation. Are the 2 of you wasting primordial stones like this? Just when the 2 of them were feeling extremely proud, a voice sounded helplessly. It was Huo Wushuang. Huo Wushuang appeared in the sky. However, Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran's aura covered Huo Wushuang's. Is it very wasteful? Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran were also surprised. They thought that their level was quite good. After all, who could achieve such a level? Of course it's wasteful. Huo Wushuang was an expert in formations, so it wasn't a problem for her to give pointers to the 2 of them. Chapter 13-17. Huo Wushuang immediately stretched out his hand and took out the primordial stones from Li Zhongjiu's spiritual chi hell. With 1 upper-grade primordial stone as the core and 5 other stones as support, he formed a small array. Then, he used the same method to create another 5 small arrays. Then, he continued to combine the 6 small arrays into a big array, one after another. Both of them were dumbfounded by such a mysterious technique. My God, what is this operation? Qi Yinran also opened her mouth wide. In this way, the consumption of upper-grade primordial stones was only 10,000. In the blink of an eye, it had already formed another formation that covered the original formation. The same effect, but the level was higher. Huo Wushuang's mysterious method immediately made Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran blush. He only used 1/10 of the materials to complete the effect that was 100% better than theirs. The 9th level array was set up just like that. No wonder Huo Wushuang couldn't help but jump out and directly said that the 2 of them were too wasteful, because he couldn't stand it at all. Who could stand these people being so wasteful? So he also jumped out directly. Let's learn, Qi Yinran said. The 2 of them couldn't help but applaud Huo Wushuang's method. It was really amazing, and at the same time, it could be considered as giving them some pointers. At least, the 2 of them knew that the most important thing to set up an array was to be able to form such a combination. Only such a combination was the most stable existence, and it could allow the level to reach a higher level. After showing off his skill, Huo Wushuang returned to the unparalleled sword. The people in Suishan City didn't realize that the array just now was set up by an array master. The 2 of them also descended once again. Whoosh! Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran both landed on the ground. Jiang Bai directly led his soldiers and directly knelt down in front of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran. Thank you, seniors, for saving the people. The surrounding people also saw this scene and knelt down in front of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran. In Li Zhongjiu's previous life, he didn't feel much when he received such worship. This was because those people were afraid of Li Zhongjiu's methods, so this time, they would do such a thing. However, these people now wanted to thank Li Zhongjiu from the bottom of their hearts. This made Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran have a strange feeling. They seemed to be motivated by this kind of power. It made Li Zhongjiu feel quite strange. Get up quickly. Qi Yinran waved her hand, and an invisible force dragged everyone up. We dare not save the people, but we will try our best, Qi Yinran said. Since he had such a cultivation base, he naturally needed to do something. At this moment, Li Zhongjiu felt that the Hell Prajna skill in his body seemed to be running on its own, and it also automatically opened up a new hell. Hell of merits. A light flashed in Li Zhongjio's mind. This name almost popped out by himself. Even Li Zhongjio didn't figure out what the hell was, what kind of existence it was, and how it could be created in his body. However, Li Zhongjio didn't panic. Anyway, this was a good thing. Everyone was also surprised by Qi Yinran's means. He actually lifted all of them up with a casual wave of his hand. She really had great magical powers. Ahem, I can't help for nothing. Just now, I used at least hundreds of thousands of upper-grade primordial stones. Li Zhongjio also rubbed 2 of his fingers. His meaning was quite obvious. Qi Yinran directly rolled her eyes. Li Zhongjio's old habit was acting up again. He really didn't change his mind no matter what. It was really rare. When Jiangbai saw this gesture, he was also stunned. He also immediately came to his senses. Not only did he help for free, but he also wanted the senior to pay for it. Therefore, Jiangbai immediately understood. Senior, don't worry. I still have some military supplies here. There are 200,000 upper-grade primordial stones. You can use them first. When the supplies arrive, I will give you 5 million upper-grade primordial stones. Jiangbai said. This number also directly surprised the 2 of them. Is there a mistake? Are these people so rich? Could it be that the primordial stones in the sacred martial realm can be picked up casually? However, Li Zhongjio and Qi Yinran also didn't know. The production of primordial stones in the sacred martial realm was indeed quite rich, but not everyone could have them. Moreover, primordial stones were also military supplies. The upper-grade primordial stones almost never fell into the hands of ordinary people. Whoever took it would be breaking the law and would be punished. Now that they were also in a state of war, these supplies were also very rich. In fact, to fight against these half-orcs, they actually relied on these primordial stones. Without these primordial energy cannons and the like, it would be quite difficult to deal with these people. Ahem, well, that's more like it. Li Zhongjio also didn't know how to respond. Even in the sacred martial continent, when Li Zhongjio was at his peak in his previous life, he didn't see so many upper-grade primordial stones. Those were upper-grade primordial stones. Perhaps the total number of upper-grade primordial stones in the entire sacred martial continent was only about 40 to 50 million. Moreover, it was divided among so many people. Naturally, the amount was quite limited. Looking at the situation, it seemed that in a place like Suishan City, a battle would cost hundreds of thousands of upper-grade primordial stones. It was really extravagant and wasteful. If there was a waste, it was definitely these guys who were the real wasteful ones. Li Zhongjio extremely despised such behavior in his heart. Seeing that the 2 of them were happy, Jiangbai was also very excited. Although the 5 million upper-grade primordial stones had already reached 80% of the total supply this time, but just by relying on the large formation just now, it was already worth more than 10 million upper-grade primordial stones. Therefore, the value of this was immeasurable. They had upper-grade primordial stones, but the number of array masters who could arrange a large formation was extremely small. 2 seniors have just exhausted themselves. Why don't you take a rest first before we set off? Jiangbai said. In fact, Jiangbai's heart was burning with anxiety. He couldn't wait to rush to his allies to provide support. However, the 2 of them had just completed such a large formation, so it was normal for them to take a rest. No need, let's set off immediately. Li Zhongjio said. You still have that little bird of yours, right? Li Zhongjio was naturally referring to the mountain auk. It's too exhausted, and it's still recovering in the green bird platform. Qi Yinran said. Obviously, the mountain auk couldn't be used. When Jiangbai heard this, it was time for him to perform. 2 seniors, the cloud-piercing ship is just as fast. Then, Jiangbai also took something out of his storage bag. Suddenly, a large flying ship appeared in mid-air. This is an eagle battleship? When Qi Yinran saw the cloud-piercing ship, he immediately said in surprise. However, if one looked carefully, it only had a little charm. After all, the cloud-piercing ship in front of them was larger in size, and its cutting was smoother. This is a flying ship that can only be obtained in Shang country. Our Suishan country spent a lot of effort to obtain this one. Jiangbai said. Chapter 13:18. Qi Yinran, on the other hand, was extremely surprised. She didn't expect such a coincidence to happen. It's very normal. Everything is actually moving in the same direction, Li Zongjie said. He had never been to the sacred martial realm before. However, in the sacred martial continent, 3,000 years later, a flying ship similar to the cloud-piercing ship was created. When it was in Li Zongjie's hands, he renamed it the Eagle Battleship. But in reality the nature was similar. Qi Yinran didn't doubt him. After all, this was the sacred martial realm. It could only be said that Li Zongjie's ideas were very advanced at that time. Someone had to create something advanced. Jiang Bai quickly assigned some tasks to the deputy generals. At the same time, he led his guards onto the cloud-piercing ship. With the cloud-piercing ship's speed, they only needed an hour to reach the neighboring country, the Moon Nation. The first line of defense in the Moon Nation, Moon City, seemed to have been breached. Now, the remaining soldiers in Moon City were covering the civilians as they retreated to the waning Moon Ridge, which was 100 miles away. There was also a fortress built on the waning Moon Ridge. After Jiang Bai and his military advisor confirmed the direction, he immediately ordered the cloud-piercing ship's pilot. Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran were still standing on the deck, but Jiang Bai and the others were already seated in the cabin. There was a ring fastened to prevent them from flying out. Seniors, quickly enter the cabin. This cloud-piercing ship is extremely fast. No need. Let's set off, Li Zongjie said proudly. He had underestimated them too much. Therefore, Li Zongjie naturally had to regain his face. Since Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran were so confident, Jiang Bai didn't say anything. Jiang Bai didn't say much. If he strongly requested at this time, wouldn't he be looking down on these two heavenly masters of Shang Empire? Full speed ahead. Rescuing people should be done sooner rather than later. If they could be faster, they might be able to save more people. In the next moment, an extremely terrifying roar sounded. It felt as if the surrounding air was being sucked in at this moment. At the same time, a huge explosive force was produced, and the huge cloud-piercing ship instantly rushed out. Boom! Li Zongjie lost his balance and was sent flying by the terrifying inertia. Qi Yinran was fine, because she was leaning against a pillar. She had time to react. I'll go. Li Zongjie was directly sent flying, almost flying to an extremely far distance. Even Li Zongjie could not react in time. The acceleration was simply too fast. It could be said that he had fallen yet again. Thankfully, Qi Yinran reacted quickly. She transformed the desolate heaven essence into a white beam of light, and instantly struck Li Zongjie's body, bringing him back. If Li Zongjie was prepared, such a situation would not have happened. However, this situation happened too quickly. Li Zongjie did not expect such a fast speed, so he was sent flying. He returned to the cloud-piercing ship. Fortunately, Jiang Bai and the others did not notice Li Zongjie's embarrassment. Otherwise, Li Zongjie would have been embarrassed once again. Li Zongjie was also calm and composed. He returned to the deck and acted as if nothing had happened. He looked around, as if he was observing his surroundings. At this moment, the flying ship was really shuttling through the clouds. Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran also discovered that the flying ship could absorb some of the energy in the clouds as it flew, turning it into its own power. This way, at least in a situation where there was no energy source, it could fly very far. This design surprised Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran quite a bit. Qi Yinran had also participated in the design and conception of the Eagle battleship, so when she saw this new structure, she instantly understood. However, no one could have thought of such an advanced concept at that time. This speed is still very fast. Although Qi Yinran and Jiang Bai were standing on the deck, as the flying ship moved forward, it had automatically formed a kind of airflow barrier, directly sticking the people on the flying ship firmly to the ship. At this moment, it was impossible to jump off the flying ship. It even required a lot of strength to break free from this force, because the cloud-piercing ship was always in a state of acceleration. The distance between the two ships was at least thousands of miles, but in just half an hour, they had already arrived above a city. When the flying boat entered the vicinity of a city, its speed directly decreased, and it slowly streaked across the sky. However, When everyone walked to the deck and saw the situation below, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. The scene below was simply too shocking for them. Although it was not the first time they saw it, every time they saw it, they would feel a kind of shock and quite a heart-wrenching feeling. This kind of feeling was indescribable. They could only watch helplessly as this once glorious city of the human race was reduced to ruins just like that. It was already destroyed beyond recognition, and thick smoke rose into the air, sweeping towards the sky. Many corpses could be found in the ruins, but these corpses were not intact. Furthermore, it could be seen that these people had their heads chopped off without any surprise. This was what shocked everyone. Such a cruel method, only the fallen race could do it. Is this still the Moon-Edge city from before? One of the guards sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw this scene. The scene at the scene was really quite shocking. Ordinary people would not be able to withstand this kind of stimulation. At this moment, there was a series of movements in the city. Obviously, they heard the movement of the cloud-piercing ship outside, and suddenly, a large number of half-beastmen came out. These people still stayed in the city to find some fish that escaped the net, but under the ruins of the Moon-Edge city, tens of thousands of half-beastmen rushed out. Too cruel. Qi Yanran frowned. Seeing such a scene, as someone of the same race, was indeed quite uncomfortable. If the city was captured, this would be the outcome. So, no matter how many people died, they must defend the city. After leaving the city, they would have nowhere to go. So the people of Suishan City did not go anywhere. After leaving Suishan City, everything would come to an end. Damn it! Jiang Bai and the others' eyes were filled with tears. As soldiers, they could not bear to see the scene of the destruction of the country, because it was their duty to protect these people. But in the end they came too late. Sigh. Li Zhongjiu also helplessly shook his head. With a flick of his finger, a towering flame directly fell from the sky. Boom! When the flame fell, the Moon-Edge city instantly turned into a sea of fire. And these half-beastmen were also burned to ashes. Not a single one of them could escape. After all, Li Zhongjiu's flame was already at the Supreme Being realm. Let's continue forward. Li Zhongjiu killed countless people in his previous life, but it did not mean that Li Zhongjiu was inhumane. On the contrary, Li Zhongjiu himself also liked to watch the bustling world in a quiet place. But because of all kinds of hatred in his previous life, Li Zhongjiu became the evil lord of this generation. Now that he really saw the destruction of the world, the destruction of the city, and the cruel murder of his fellow humans, no one could bear it. The fire burned all the half-blood beastmen in the city to ashes. Then, the cloud-piercing ship continued forward, waning Moon Mountain Ridge stronghold. A bloody battle was about to break out. The people had already crossed the Mountain Ridge stronghold. They only needed to go forward 50 miles, and there would be a city to take over. But before that, they must stop the half-beastmen's advance. Everyone, this is our final battle. A female archer who was covered in blood said with a sonorous voice. This female archer's eyes were bloodshot. They had already been fighting for 3 days. Of the original 200,000 human soldiers, only these few people were left. Less than 400. All the generals, commanders, and vanguards had died in battle. Right now, she was only a centurion of 100 archers. But she was already the highest-ranking person present. So now, these 400 soldiers were all under her command. Chapter 13:19. In today's battle, we have no other choice but to use the weapons in our hands to kill our way out. In order to buy time, we must defend the stronghold to the death. Su Jing exclaimed. With a wave of his arm, the soldiers under his command also began to shout loudly. Defend the stronghold to the death. Defend the stronghold to the death. Among the 400 people, there were many types of soldiers, but the weapons they could use at this moment were quite few. Apart from a few light energy cannons in their hands, there were only cold weapons in their hands. Long swords and spears. Although the lineup was not neat, there was only one goal in everyone's heart, and that was to defend the stronghold to the death. Su Jing also took out the amulet hanging around her neck and looked at it again. This was given to her by her parents when she joined the army. Later on, Her parents were also killed in the invasion of the orcs, and even their bodies could not be found. Now she was just an ordinary high-level elemental master. In terms of commanding so many people in front of her, she was indeed a little unqualified, but now there was no other way. She could only fight by herself. There were less than 30 arrows left in the bow in her hand. However, the other side's orc army was at least 200,000. Rumble! The ground in front of them suddenly shook, and then they could see that in the distance, there seemed to be a dark cloud that was rapidly rolling over. On the ground, there was also a black tide of troops rushing over quickly, and they were rushing up the mountain. It was not the first time they saw such a scene of thousands of soldiers and horses. If it was in the past, these veterans might be shocked, but now they only had one thought, and that was to live for one more second and kill one more enemy. This was their heart's desire. This was what they were thinking at this moment. Get ready! Su Jing saw that the enemy's vanguard had already rushed halfway up the mountain, and the distance between the two sides was less than 1,000 meters. She directly shouted. In the face of such a powerful enemy, no one took a step back. Kill! Less than 500 meters. The bow in Su Jing's hand was already aimed at one of them. Just as she was about to release the arrow, a figure suddenly fell from the sky. Boom! Su Jing saw that the figure actually blocked her line of sight, and in a panic, she directly let go of her hand. The arrow in his hand had already shot out rapidly. Although he didn't know who this person was, judging from his appearance, he seemed to be a fellow human. In that case, wouldn't they be killing their own people by mistake? Su Jing immediately exclaimed. Dodge! However, the enemy troops were so powerful that they couldn't even hear the call. Just as the arrow was about to pierce the person in front of him, another figure floated down. He extended his hand and gently grabbed the arrow, catching it in his hand. Su Jing was stunned. The skill of the woman who suddenly appeared in front of her was like a dream. She casually caught her arrow. Damn you! Li Zhongjiu flipped his palm over. The mountain-toppling golden seal fell. An extremely terrifying golden palm print descended from the sky. It contained an extremely vast amount of power, and landed directly on the ground. Bang! When the golden palm landed on the ground, it directly overturned the surrounding soil, and instantly smashed tens of thousands of orcs into pieces. Moreover, the orcs that rushed up behind were instantly burned to ashes by the remaining power of the golden light. Qi Yanran also used the power of the desolate heaven essence to rush forward and smash the orcs into meat paste. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of orcs were killed. The orcs at the back didn't know the situation in front of them and continued to charge forward. Soon they were also easily wiped out. In the orc army camp at the foot of the mountain, a patriarch watched the battle in front of him. How could so many people be needed to attack a mere waning moon mountain? Therefore, he only casually sent 100,000 orcs to attack. However, the commotion that erupted from the mountain seemed to have easily killed these orcs. This caused the clan leader to be shocked. What's going on? Why are we suffering such heavy losses? The patriarch also said in shock. However, by the time he reacted, the 100,000 orcs on the mountain had already been killed. A few smart ones hid first, and then secretly fled back. To them, the scene on the mountain just now was quite terrifying. So many people died in the blink of an eye. It was not something they could resist at all. Su Jing and some of the soldiers who were determined to die were also stunned on the spot. From start to finish, it took less than 5 minutes. No, it would only be 3 minutes at most. The man and woman in front of him had easily wiped out the 100,000 beast men. There were still a few palm prints left on the ground. There was a blazing energy in the palm prints that was constantly emitting. It was this energy that was released. Once the orcs came into contact with this energy, they were directly incinerated into powder. The sudden reversal of the battle situation made Su Jing and the others unable to react. However, the two people in front of them had killed 100,000 orcs. Such powerful strength must have come from the Shang Nation. Shang Nation's heavenly master? This thought flashed through Su Jing's mind. Could it be that the heavenly masters of the Shang Nation had finally made a move? After holding on for so long in these small countries, they finally had the time to make a move. At this moment, a cloud-piercing ship was hanging above the waning moon mountain ridge. Then more than 10 figures jumped down. Although the leader was also a woman, she was wearing the armor of a general. Jiang Bai and the others landed in front of Su Jing. I am the general of Suishan City, Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai first introduced himself. When they heard that it was actually the general of Suishan City, the eyes of all the soldiers lit up again. The archer captain and the soldiers of Moonedge City greet the general. Su Jing hurriedly led the soldiers to kneel down. It was the general of Suishan City. The reinforcements of Suishan City had arrived. This was the thought in their minds. The soldiers behind them also knelt down in unison. They had been looking forward to seeing the general of Suishan City for a long time. Everyone, you have worked hard, Jiang Bai also said. After 3 days of continuous bitter fighting, their bodies were already at their limits. Jiang Bai immediately ordered his guards to help these soldiers by distributing food and the like. At the same time, he called Su Jing over. These are the seniors of the 2 secluded cultivators, Senior Li and Senior Yanran. Jiang Bai introduced. At least these people had to know who had saved them. Su Jing thanks the 2 seniors. Immediately, Su Jing wanted to continue kneeling. However, Qi Yanran stopped her. You are the real heroes. This is your arrow. Qi Yanran returned the arrow that she had just caught to Su Jing. Immediately, Su Jing's heart trembled. This was an extremely high level of recognition. Chapter 1320. Su Jing respectfully took the arrow from Qi Yanran with both hands. Suddenly, she felt as if the arrow in her hand was a blessing. From now on, Su Jing must grasp every arrow that was shot. There were only about 400 soldiers left in Moon City's garrison. A total of 200,000 soldiers were left in the end. Moreover, Moon City was breached, and at least half of the civilians were unable to evacuate in time. Since then, Moon Kingdom had lost another city, so its territory had shrunk even more. There are still 100,000 half-orcs below. Wait for me to destroy them. Li Zongjie said. Jiang Bai and the others were not worried. After all, Li Zongjie and Qi Yanran had easily killed millions of half-orcs. They were so powerful that it was daunting. It was even difficult to imagine the strength of these people. Senior, you have to be careful. There are 3 gluttons in their army. Su Jing hurriedly said. What gluttons? Even Jiang Bai was completely shocked. It was no wonder that with Moon City's strength, they were able to break through it so quickly. The gluttonous beast was already quite powerful. They were huge and could easily crush everything. Even the city walls could not withstand the impact of these gluttons. No wonder Moon City was defeated so quickly. Jiang Bai and the others finally understood that it was because of the gluttons. These gluttons were usually placed on the battlefield of the Upper Kingdom. How could they be deployed to the battlefield of the Lower Kingdom? Naturally, no one could resist them. Gluttons. Li Zongjie and Qi Yanran listened and smiled disdainfully. Aren't they just a few big rats? The 2 looked at each other, and with a flash of their bodies they rushed down. Whoosh! Whoosh! The figures of the 2 seemed to be accompanied by the sound of wind breaking as they directly disappeared. They were like 2 ghosts. General, those are gluttons. Don't they need our support? Because they had seen the horror of these gluttons. The city walls of Moon City were breached by the gluttons in less than an hour, and the street battles in the city lasted for 2 days. Even their general had been eaten by the glutton right from the start. No amount of elemental weapons could kill the gluttons. In the end, the 3 gluttons were completely unharmed. No need. Jiang Bai shook his head slowly. Although he did not know how strong Li Zongjie and Qi Yanran were, Jiang Bai was sure that the gluttons below were no match for Li Zongjie and the others. After all, even the assassin was killed by the 2 of them without anyone noticing. Therefore, Jiang Bai had absolute confidence in the strength of these 2 people. There was also the formation set up in Suishan City. He could clearly feel the power of the array. Even if the real heavenly master of the Upper Kingdom came, he would not be a match for the 2 of them. In the military camp of the fallen beastmen below, 3 black behemoths more than 20 meters tall were locked in iron cages. Even the beastmen themselves did not dare to say that they could control the gluttons 100%. Therefore, they would usually lock up the gluttons. Once the gluttons were hungry, they would launch a frenzied attack. They would not stop until they were dead. The gluttons would eat anything. Nothing could stop the gluttons from attacking. Even if there was a mountain in front of them, they would smash it. When the Beastman Patriarch saw the Beastmen on the mountain, he ran back as if he had seen a ghost. When he was caught and questioned, he said that he did not know anything and did not see anything. The main point was that he did not see anything. The Beastmen in front were all dead. You didn't see anything clearly, and you ran for your lives. Get out of here. The Patriarch immediately ordered the escaping Beastmen to be thrown into the cages prepared for the gluttons. Patriarch, please spare us. Patriarch, please spare us. But in the next moment, they were thrown into the gluttons' cages. The gluttons bit the Beastmen in their mouths and easily crushed them. One could even hear the sound of bones colliding with teeth. The Patriarch's name was Wild King. 2 days ago, he was in a meeting with the realm lord of the Fallen War territory. When he heard that the heavenly master of the Upper Kingdom had appeared in Suishan City, he hurriedly spent a large amount of money to mobilize 3 gluttons to his tribe to fight. He did it to give himself a sense of security. At the same time, he wanted to take the lead in conquering the human camp, so that they could continue to advance. For them, this was a very important matter. The sooner they achieved success, the sooner they could leave this damned place. You guys go up the mountain and see what's going on, Wild King Patriarch said. Just as he finished speaking, a voice rang out. The 3 gluttons locked in the iron cages suddenly became restless. They tore at the iron cages in front of them in a frenzy, and kept ramming into the iron cages. Under the frenzied ramming, the iron cages were deformed. What's going on? The sudden outburst of the gluttons made Wild King panic. He had never encountered such a situation before. Could it be that the gluttons were hungry? But even if they were hungry, they shouldn't be in such a state. Suddenly, the gluttons directly broke out of the cages and started to crazily bite the Beastmen in front of them. Gluttony's body looked like a giant rat standing upright. With a light flick of its tail, more than 10 Beastmen were thrown into its mouth. At the same time, it trampled many Beastmen to death. How can this be? Hurry up and calm them down. What are you all doing? However, no matter how Wild King ordered, the Beastmen couldn't stop the gluttons in front of them. The gluttons quickly shuttled back and forth in the army camp. The entire army was in a mess. Wild King only felt that he was about to collapse. If this continued, wouldn't they be finished? Suddenly, one of the gluttons rushed towards Wild King. Wild King's heart skipped a beat. Hurry up and protect me, Wild King's tribe leader hurriedly shouted. However, the soldiers beside him had already fled far away. Who would protect you when you were about to die? Moreover, this kind of situation wasn't something that could be easily protected. Wild King's tribe leader was immediately swept up by the tail of a glutton and violently thrown into the sky. When Wild King's body was in the air, he could see that there were 2 figures standing in the air. They stood in the air and looked down at the people below with indifferent eyes. It's you guys! Wild King saw the 2 people standing quietly in the air. They were like gods who looked down on all living things. In the next moment, Wild King's body fell down. He was bitten by the gluttons, torn into pieces. Then, the 3 gluttons formed a triangular blockade in the army camp and devoured the beastmen one by one. Our humble words are light, but please accept our 3 bows benefactors. Su Jing once again knelt down in front of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran. Descending from the sky in such a desperate situation was what a god would do. Moreover, they didn't stop at all, and continued to rush to other battlefields to help. Such righteousness naturally made Su Jing and other soldiers admire them. Under the sincere worship of these people, Li Zhongjiu felt that the power in his merit hell was rapidly increasing. With this upgrade, Li Zhongjiu finally knew what was missing in his previous life. The reason why Li Zhongjiu had not been able to break through the final step was because he lacked the power of the hell of merits. The hell that was created could only give some things a form and present them to Li Zhongjiu. Things that couldn't be seen in the past could now be seen in the hell. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu had the merit hell in his body at this moment. He could clearly feel the increase of the power of merit. Although Li Zhongjie still didn't know the use of the power of merit, it was beneficial for something like this to increase a little. The cloud-piercing ship continued to move forward. Li Zhongjie and Qi Yanran also launched a real rescue in the Battle of Time. At this moment, outside Suishan City, 20 figures landed. Lord Xuemia, Suishan City is in front. Xuemia glanced at the situation in front. They had just returned from the Black Snake Ridge Fortress, and had already checked the situation of the Black Snake Ridge Fortress. Xue Wu and the others were easily killed, so it must be done by a top expert. However, the depraved aura on the other party's body could be used to track them, but they couldn't find them at this moment. They couldn't help but be surprised. Obviously, the depraved aura was refined by the other party. It's really a good method to refine the depraved aura. In this way it was equivalent to hiding one's body. But soon, Xuemia's eyes lit up. A few thousand miles away from here, a person carrying a large amount of depraved aura appeared. Obviously, he had just been infected, which meant that a large number of half-beastmen soldiers were killed. It seems that he has already escaped. Does he want to kill the people of my fallen clan like cabbages? The 5 of you destroy Suishan City. The rest of you follow me. Xuemia immediately prepared to take people to chase after Li Zhongjie and Xue Wu. This matter must be done quickly. Otherwise, the other party will refine the depraved aura again. If they can't complete the task, the manager will be angry, and they will be finished. Suishan City shouldn't continue to exist here. So he directly ordered to erase Suishan City. Yes, Lord Xuemia. Immediately 5 top-notch assassins were left behind. Xuemia took the remaining people and chased after Li Zhongjie. I can go on a killing spree again. This time, I'm going to enjoy the process of killing. Someone couldn't help but sneer. Then the 5 assassins' figures flashed and directly rushed toward Suishan City. The 5 of them couldn't restrain the crazy killing intent in their hearts. However, when the 5 of them rushed to the sky above Suishan City, they were about to escape into the city. Suddenly, a huge firebird appeared in the sky above Suishan City. The firebird turned around and directly flapped its wings at the 5 of them. Boom! Instantly, the 5 figures exploded in the sky like fireworks. They bloomed with extremely dazzling light. At this moment, the people in Suishan City looked up at the sky. The 5 assassins who were about to sneak in were directly blown to pieces. However, there were no more movements in the sky. Xuemia and the others, who had already left for some distance, suddenly stopped. What? Xuemia and the others looked back at the 5 figures that had turned into smoke. Their pupils shrank. You saw it. It seems to be an array. Chapter 13:22. Array formation. As soon as he said that, the few of them were shocked as well. The half-beastmen were most afraid of array formations. In fact, when he first arrived, he directly launched a hunting operation to kill all the array masters, killing all those who knew array masters. He even forced them to not dare to show themselves. But it was also because of this that this array formation was terrifying. Now a powerful array formation had appeared again. Xuemia and the others broke out in cold sweat. If they had rushed in just now, they would be the ones to die. It really is an array formation. Xuemia and the others' eyes flashed. Quickly report this to Lord Manager. Xuemia and the others observed for a while, and found that the array formation was quite powerful. Even if they approached it with their cultivation, they would be seriously injured, and would not be able to rush out. Some array masters in the human race were indeed quite terrifying. The array formation they casually set up was enough to endlessly trap and kill the half-beastmen. In the beginning they suffered heavy losses. In the end, the higher-ups of the Beast God Temple made up their minds to hunt down all the array masters of the human race at all costs. So now, those who knew about array formations were either experts or dead. Even the endless pursuit of the half-beastmen was an extremely painful experience for ordinary array masters. In short, the half-beastmen were unscrupulous. In the end, they killed 80% of the human race's array masters. Their methods were also quite cruel. Now an array master had appeared. This made them vigilant. Lord, if we can hunt down an advanced array master. At this moment, A subordinate came forward and said. Although he wanted to say something, the meaning in his words was quite obvious. But it was obviously an extremely dangerous thing. They were indeed inexperienced when facing an array master. But wealth came from danger. If they wanted to be promoted in the Beast God Temple, they must first make a great contribution. You're right. Let's go. This array master will die without a doubt. Xuemye had long wanted to reach a higher level. If this continued, when would there be an end? He must have a breakthrough in progress. Hunting down an array master was bound to be a great contribution. With this contribution, he might even become a candidate to become a manager. When he sits in this position, his status will be completely different. When the divine temple completely transmits to him, it will be time for him to be rewarded. Xuemye had already seized this opportunity to turn things around. The operation this time was extremely important, and he absolutely could not reveal it to anyone. If someone else got ahead of him, it would be a huge loss for him. Immediately, Xuemye led his men to chase after Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu and the others relied on the speed of the cloud-piercing ship to resolve the remaining 2 crises within a day, saving millions of people. At the same time, wherever Li Zongjiu passed by, he would set up a series of formations. All of them were defended by the Nirvana Heavenly Fire Formation. When Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran arranged the formation, they were more proficient, and the formation they arranged was more perfect. Huo Wushuang, who was waiting in the unparalleled sword, shook her head after seeing the progress of the 2, and exclaimed that they were monsters. She did not expect the 2 to be so terrifyingly talented. The 2 of them directly learned her methods one after another. She did not teach them very carefully. At most, it could be considered as a demonstration, but the 2 of them had already grasped the essence. She could not help but sigh at the terrifying strength of the 2. It was really frightening. On the cloud-piercing ship, there were a few more members. They were the princess from the Yun Nation and her personal guards. The princess of the Yun Nation was also stationed in the Yun Nation city, White Cloud City. However, all of the soldiers were sacrificed. Half of the people in White Cloud City were cruelly killed by these people. This made the princess of the Yun Nation extremely sad and indignant. They threatened to take advantage of the situation and destroy the command center of the Fallen War territory. As long as the command center of the Fallen War territory was destroyed, it would be a beautiful counterattack. The war had been going on for more than 300 years. In these 300 years, countless countries had been destroyed. No one knew how many people had died, but the human race had been constantly retreating. They had been beaten back repeatedly, and they had never been able to take back their own territory and drive these foreign races out of the continent. This time, the plan could be carried out because of the presence of Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran. In fact, even if they did not say anything, Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran had already decided to destroy the Fallen War territory master. Only by gathering together would they be able to kill quickly. The princess of the Yun Nation was called Chu Yingguan. When Li Zongjiu and the others arrived, Chu Yingguan and the others were preparing to commit suicide. Instead of dying in the hands of these people, it was better to end their own lives. This was the only way to ensure that they would not see their own faces when they died. Thank you for your help this time. Yingguan has nothing to repay you, but I am willing to give you my primordial stones. Chu Yingguan directly handed one of his storage belts to Li Zongjiu. Obviously, the few of them could see that Li Zongjiu was the leader of the 2. Chu Yingguan had chatted with Jiang Bai before, and knew that Li Zongjiu liked primordial stones. Oh, Li Zongjiu, who was meditating, opened his eyes. He saw the storage belt in front of him. It was enough to see how big the space was since it was able to forge a storage treasure into a belt. There are 20 million upper-grade primordial stones inside. Chu Yingguan said. 20 million primordial stones. And they were all upper-grade primordial stones. Although Li Zongjiu was already mentally prepared, he was still shocked. These people were already so rich. How rich would the other people from the upper nation be? Ahem, if you have something to say, just say it. Li Zongjiu was not a simple young man. Seeing that the other party took the initiative to give away so many primordial stones. Even if you were a princess, There was no reason for you to give away so many primordial stones. It should be known that these primordial stones were very useful in such a state of war. It might even save your life. Senior, please accept me as your disciple. Chu Yingguan said firmly. Accept her as his disciple. Chu Yingguan's talent could only be regarded as ordinary. At least in Li Zhongjiu's eyes, except for him. The others were also ordinary. But now it seemed that Qi Yinran's talent was even more powerful. It had reached a level that Li Zhongjiu could not see clearly. Not interested. Li Zhongjiu waved his hand. He was not interested in teaching a disciple. Moreover, it was not easy to become Li Zhongjiu's disciple. What's more, he had to bring someone with him now. Wouldn't that become a burden? Let me have a look. Give me your hand. Qi Yinran, on the other hand, was interested in Chu Yan. Chapter 13:23. Chu Yingguan stretched out his hand to Qi Yinran. If he could become Qi Yinran's disciple, he would be equally excited. As long as he could learn real skills and kill these half-beastmen, it didn't matter who he became. Chu Yingguan's talent was not bad. At least in the Ying country, he was an extremely top existence. At such a young age, he had already reached the origin ancestor realm. Although he was only a first-grade origin ancestor, there were still many people who could not reach his level. However, Chu Yingguan himself did not have much confidence. He just wanted to fight for an opportunity. If he did not fight for it, he might not even have this opportunity. What did you see? Li Zhongjiu asked. Qi Yinran was checking Chu Yingguan's physical condition, as if she was taking his pulse. Li Zhongjiu was naturally quite envious of her ability to detect other people's talent by touching them. Therefore, he also wanted to learn a few moves when he was free. Although Qi Yinran had learned a lot now, some things could not be said at all. They could only be understood, but could not be explained. Therefore Li Zhongjiu could only observe and learn now. There is a little compatibility. I have a nameless breathing technique here. If you can cultivate it, you will naturally know where to find me. If you can't cultivate it, your achievements will be slightly higher than yours now. Qi Yinran said. Thank you, Senior. Chu Yingguan did not dare to take advantage of her. If he directly called her master now, it would make Qi Yinran unhappy. Immediately, Qi Yinran stretched out her finger and gently touched Chu Yingguan's eyebrows. A force quickly poured into Chu Yingguan's mind. Although Chu Yingguan was surprised by Qi Yinran's means, he was not worried that Qi Yinran would harm him. After all, with Qi Yinran's strength, it was too easy to kill him. Buzz! In Chu Yingguan's mind, there was suddenly a message. When he received this information, Chu Yingguan's heart jumped. He didn't expect there to be such a method. It was as if something suddenly appeared in his mind, and it left a deep impression on him, making it impossible for him to forget. Thank you, Senior. Chu Yingguan thanked her again. Go down first. Qi Yinran waved her hand. At this moment, Li Zhongjiu opened his eyes and looked at Qi Yinran. He seemed to have sensed something. Then, the two figures disappeared in front of Chu Yingguan. Whoosh! The two appeared on the deck at the same time. In the next moment, the cloud-piercing ship seemed to have sunk into a quagmire. It was hooked by countless ropes, and there was no way for it to break free. There was even a sharp weapon that was directly thrown into one of the energy generators of the cloud-piercing ship. Boom! At the place where the power was generated, it would also explode. Until now, Jiang Bai and the others were shocked to discover that the cloud-piercing ship had been attacked. On guard! Jiang Bai's bodyguard shouted loudly. In an instant, everyone was on high alert. It was not that Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran did not feel safe here. It was just that they had developed such a reaction over the years. If they were not vigilant enough, they could die at any time. Under the protection of his personal guards, Chu Yin also came to the deck together with them. At this moment, the flying ship had lost its power and was rapidly falling down. Qi Yinran waved her hand and used the desolate heaven essence to bind the cloud-piercing ship. At the same time, the cloud-piercing ship seemed to be suspended in the air. Haha, you two have good skills. Which one of you is an array master? After the flying ship stabilized, a voice rang out. Then, a bolt of lightning flashed and more than 10 figures appeared in the sky. They were like messengers from hell. Immediately, everyone became nervous. "It's the assassins!" Jiang Bai exclaimed. The assassins had finally arrived. The assassins from the dark hall were ruthless. Once they appeared, they would pile up corpses into mountains. They killed people like flies and took pleasure in killing people. The cloud-piercing ship was restrained by the assassins. It was obvious that the assassins had used some method to destroy it. However, the fact that the assassins were able to follow them was proof of their ability. Although Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran were strong, the assassins were equally strong. To Jiang Bai and the others, the assassins were mysterious. Even Li Zhongjiu and the others might not be able to resist them. Now that they were facing the assassins in front of them, it was difficult to judge who was stronger. Naturally, they were nervous. "Both of us," Li Zhongjiu said straightforwardly. These people in front of them really thought highly of themselves. They directly landed on the cloud-piercing ship. The assassins only dared to attack because they were certain that there was no array nearby. Otherwise, even if they were given 10 guts, they wouldn't dare to approach an array master. A cold light flashed in Xuemia's eyes. Either this kid was bluffing, or he was telling the truth. 2. Interesting. The corners of Xuemia's mouth curled up. He didn't expect that he would be able to capture 2 array masters. His credit was doubled. How could Xuemia not be happy? Therefore, when Xuemia was happy, he suppressed this joy in his heart. "So the soldiers of my fallen clan were killed by the 2 of you?" Xuemia said. "And those few sneaky rat heads from yesterday were also killed by me," Li Zhongjiu said. At the same time, he looked at the people in front of him. The higher their cultivation, the purer their bloodline, and the more they looked like humans. However, their essence wouldn't change. "Very good. If the 2 of you are willing to come with us today, we will be merciful and let them live. What do you think?" The corners of Xuemia's mouth curled up slightly. Now he had changed his mind. If he could capture the 2 array masters alive, his credit would be too high. It might even be so high that they wouldn't dare to imagine it. Xuemia couldn't wait to imagine himself becoming the manager of this assassination palace. He would directly become the manager. If that was the case, he would really bring glory to his ancestors and make a name for himself. Every manager had considerable power. Moreover, managers had the opportunity to be baptized. After the baptism, their strength would become stronger. And for the fallen clan, this would be a supreme glory. Strength wasn't strength. They could talk about it later. However, if they could get such glory, it would be the most important thing for them. Jiang Bai and the others' faces were extremely ugly. Chu Yanguan was well aware of the fallen race's methods against array masters. If they couldn't use them, they would directly destroy them. "Senior, the fallen clan has a deep fear of array masters. So once we find an array master, we will either subdue them or destroy them," Chu Yanguan said. Obviously, he didn't want to see the 2 of them fall into the hands of the assassination palace. However, Xuemia and the others were full of confidence. They glanced at Qi Yinran and Li Zhongjiu, who didn't make any movements. They were a little vigilant. "I will give you 5 seconds to think about it. I will not give you time to arrange the array. If you don't agree, then don't blame me for being ruthless." Chapter 1324. Xuemia said coldly, as if he felt that the more he frowned, the more intimidating he was. However, Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran both looked at Xuemia with a faint smile. He wanted to show off in front of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran. They had never seen such an overconfident person. Then, the few of them waited quietly for 5 seconds. 5 seconds passed. Li Zhongjiu took the initiative to provoke. "Time has passed. Can you show us how ruthless you are?" Jiang Bai and the others were already very nervous. However, seeing Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran so calm, they calmed down slightly. Since Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran were not flustered at all, they must have a way to deal with the situation in front of them. Now they were surrounded by these assassins. They had no other way. The only thing they could do was to kill themselves before they were caught. They did not want to fall into the hands of these people. Otherwise, they would feel the pain of death. He stood side by side with Chu Yen. They stood together behind Qi Yinran. When he heard that Li Zongjio took the initiative to provoke the other party, Jiang Bai became even more nervous. Did he not know the other party's strength? Or did he deliberately play with them, because he knew the other party's strength? Li Zongjio and Qi Yinran's strength should not be a problem. Xuemie felt the deep ridicule and provocation in Li Zongjio's eyes. Immediately Xuemie sneered. He stretched out 2 fingers and pointed at Li Zongjio. Break his legs! As his voice fell, suddenly, 2 black shadows flew directly from the side at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they came in front of Li Zongjio. However, before Li Zongjio could move, Qi Yinran had already made her move. With a flick of his finger, 2 beams of 5-colored divine light blasted the 2 men's heads with a bang. The 2 people did not have time to react. Their bodies fell straight forward, leaving a long trace on the deck. Blood flowed on the deck. Xuemie suddenly widened his eyes. Obviously, he was surprised by Qi Yinran's means. After all, Xuemie didn't think that Qi Yinran's speed would be faster. Moreover, it was Qi Yinran who attacked. He thought that Li Zongjio would be more powerful. It seemed that this Li Zongjio was the real array master. The other girl was only the array master's guardian. The fallen race who participated in hunting array masters knew that every array master would have a powerful guardian by his side. Otherwise, the array master would be useless. It would be like a piece of fat meat on a chopping board that could be easily chopped up. You guys hold that woman. Transform. Roar. Then with a low roar, the surrounding people also roared in anger. There seemed to be a strong aura that was rapidly gathering on their bodies. With the injection of this power, the aura these people's aura. Bang! The remaining 12 people jumped to the deck. At this moment, some of their clothes were pierced by some sharp scales. When they saw the dark red barbed scales on these people, Chu Yanguan nearly cried out. Flying Scales Troop. These people are all the top troops of the Assassination Palace. Little girl, you're quite knowledgeable. The leader of the attackers glanced at Chu Yinguan. He didn't expect a low-level person like Chu Yinguan to be able to recognize them as members of the Flying Scales Troop. The so-called Flying Scales Troop was actually formed because their original bodies were extremely similar. However, this troop was proficient in assassination and was merciless. Whoosh! Qi Yinran took a step forward and took the initiative to rush toward these 12 people. These 12 figures also jumped up in an instant. Their figures intertwined and directly formed a strangling net toward Qi Yinran. Qi Yinran also raised her palm. As he waved his palm, the 12 people were forced to retreat. Xuemie saw that this little girl Qi Yinran had some strength. He immediately stopped hesitating. If he continued to wait, maybe Qi Yinran would kill all the people of the Flying Scales Troop. Xuemie immediately transformed. After transforming, Xuemie's appearance looked more like a slender fishtail. At the same time, there was a horn on his head. It's so troublesome to transform. Li Zongjio saw that Xuemie's transformation seemed to be a little troublesome. He still had to struggle for a long time. You're still so stubborn in the face of death. After transforming, Xuemie's aura was even stronger. He even felt that he could directly destroy a city with just a breath of strength. Jiang Bai and the others felt extremely suffocated. Finally, Xuemie made his move. He directly turned into a black light and rushed toward Li Zongjio. Since he couldn't get Li Zongjio, he could only destroy Li Zongjio. In order to not give Qi Yinran a chance to react and rescue him, Xuemie directly used his strongest move. Blood extermination. When blood extermination was used, it would burn the blood in his body. At the same time, his speed would be increased to a terrifying degree. Even if an expert of the same level came, he would only be killed in a second. Boom! Xuemie's figure suddenly stopped. It was not by himself. It was forcibly suppressed by a strong hand. The horn on Xuemie's head became an offensive weapon, but at this moment, it was easily blocked by a hand. Is this all you've got? Li Zongjio was still looking forward to it. After all, the people sent this time seemed to be a bit interesting. However, as soon as they started fighting, Li Zongjio was completely disappointed. How could he be so weak? At this level, even the military master of the Xingyan dynasty could easily defeat him. What? Blood Mia could feel Li Zongjio's strength. Li Zongjio had actually blocked his attack so easily. Then Xuemie gritted his teeth. He continued to ignite his blood. Sure enough, Li Zongjio had some skills. He must be hiding some top magic weapon. Xuemie's figure directly turned into a dozen doppelgangers. At the same time, they rushed towards Li Zongjio from all directions. Facing Xuemie's attack, Li Zongjio also responded. Slap! A slap was directly thrown out. All of Xuemie's doppelgangers were destroyed. They directly rolled on the deck more than a dozen times. I say, you're not a fake, are you? Did the beast god temple raise trash like you? Li Zongjio stood with his hands behind his back and said disdainfully. It seemed that in his eyes, Xuemie and the others were just a group of trash that could be spurned anywhere. Bang! 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 Qi Yinran seemed to have already tried these people's tricks and routines. Impatiently, she directly slapped the people in front of her to the ground. Bang! 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 Immediately, the 12 so-called experts of the Flying Scales troop all fell to the ground with serious injuries. They just happened to be in front of Xuemie. Retreat! Xuemie shouted. Obviously, he also knew that the strength of Li Zongjio and Qi Yinran was not something that they could resist. Even after transforming, they were still not a match for the two of them. One was fine, but who knew that both of them were so powerful? You want to leave? Sure. Li Zongjio directly flashed, and then patted everyone's head. Suddenly, a mental command was sent into the minds of the Flying Scales troop. The situation of this command was similar to that of gluttony. It was also because Li Zongjio found that the mental strength of these fallen people was relatively weak. Therefore, it was easier to control them. Since they were so easy to control, there was nothing much to say. If he made good use of them, he might be able to achieve an incredible effect. However, Xuemie and the others only felt their bodies shake. It seemed that Li Zongjio was too late to stop them, so they quickly got up and fled into the distance. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the sky. We can't let them escape, Jiangbai said with regret. If they could keep these people here, it could at least be considered as cutting off one of the assassination palace's right-hand men. At least, they would not dare to be so arrogant. At least, they could make these people suffer a little loss. It's okay, they will die. Li Zongjio smiled faintly. The mental command that was sent just now would not have any effect under normal circumstances. But once they got close to the fallen people, they would automatically release this mental command and take the initiative to attack and kill the fallen people. At the beginning, it would certainly have a surprising effect. Before they were killed, they should be able to easily kill some people. It was also a counterattack. When Jiangbai and the others heard Li Zongjio's words, they were a little confused. However, they did not care. Since Li Zongjio said it, it must be effective. It's just that this flying boat is broken. Jiangbai, on the other hand, was vexed. She only had one cloud-piercing boat. I have it, Chu Yin said. Chapter 1325. The flying boat in Chu Yingguan's hand. Judging from its appearance, it was even more powerful than the cloud-piercing boat. This is a star boat. When Jiangbai saw the star boat, she looked at Chu Yingguan in shock. She did not expect Chu Yingguan to have a star boat. If he had the star boat in his hand, it would not be a problem for him to escape. However, when they arrived, Chu Yingguan and the others seemed to be ready to die for their country. Since they still had a chance to live, why didn't they use the star boat to escape? Jiangbai began to speculate in her heart. Obviously, this star boat had an extraordinary origin. Only the royal family of a country was qualified to own a star boat. Could it be that Chu Yingguan's real identity was not the princess of the Yun country? Jiangbai guessed in her heart. However, she could quickly connect the dots. After all, this kind of thing often happened in such a world. A princess in distress might have experienced too many escapes along the way. In the end, she might even feel that there was no hope for her to escape forever. Therefore, even if there was a chance of survival, she did not need it. Unless there was a real hope of turning the situation around. Li Zongjio and Qi Yinran carried such hope. In fact, it had been a long time since they had won such a satisfying battle. Your boat is not bad. Li Zongjio looked at the star boat with great appreciation. Even in Li Zongjiu's previous life, after 3,000 years, he had never seen such an advanced flying boat. Needless to say, it was very powerful. No wonder she gave out tens of millions of upper-grade primordial stones so casually. This girl's family was not ordinary. However, Li Zongjiu was not interested in Chu Yingguan's identity. After all, these things were not deliberately collected by Li Zongjiu. So what if they were extraordinary? In front of Li Zongjiu, they could be easily destroyed with a punch. Everyone boarded the star boat. Then, the star boat rushed toward the core area of the Fallen War territory. The headquarters of the Fallen War territory was located in the capital of an extremely powerful country. The strength of this country was equivalent to the combined strength of 3 small countries. However, no matter what, it was unable to withstand the attack of 10 tribes, which was a total of 2 million fallen warriors. There were even more secret weapons, such as the gluttons, that made their move. Therefore, the strength of the Fallen War realm was not to be underestimated. This place had been renamed Fallen City. The Lord of the Fallen Realm also controlled an extremely powerful elite force that was stationed in the Fallen City. However, the Fallen City was usually used as a logistical supply. But today, something big happened in Fallen City. In just half an hour, the 3 gluttons rushed into the Fallen City and started attacking crazily. At first, the people of Fallen City thought that the gluttony was throwing a tantrum, or that it wanted to eat something. However, they soon realized that the gluttony had only bitten people to death and did not eat them. All of a sudden, it caused a huge loss. Thus, the Lord of the Fallen Realm immediately ordered the 3 gluttons to be killed. When the glutton was killed, the glutton was killed. 2 of the Fallen City's city walls had been destroyed. Although the human race seemed to be at a disadvantage now, the gluttons would occasionally launch surprise attacks to kill the human race. Therefore, the Fallen City had to be careful. In addition to the city walls, at least thousands of fallen warriors were trampled to death. With the strength of the gluttons, killing these fallen warriors was like child's play. In order to catch the gluttons, many elite soldiers were sacrificed. For a time, the entire Fallen City suffered heavy losses. Just when the Fallen City had just stabilized, in the distant sky, a terrifying light seemed to be attacking. The surrounding air also began to vibrate. The soldiers of Fallen City also looked up at the sky. The airflow in the sky was rapidly forming a storm. It's the human race's warship. Some of the orcs with sharp eyes saw a huge figure rapidly approaching from afar. They immediately roared. He was extremely shocked by the situation in front of him. He did not expect that the human race would dare to rush into Fallen City. It should be known that in Fallen City, there were more than 500,000 fallen warriors and elite soldiers. Moreover, each of them was quite brave. There were nearly 10 gluttons, who were guarding this place to ensure that they could provide timely support to various places. What's going on? The star boat hovered directly above the Fallen City. Directly below it was the palace where the Lord of the Fallen Realm resided. The so-called palace was just the palace that the Lord of the Fallen Realm had refurbished. In terms of building construction, the orcs didn't have much talent. Even their weapons weren't excellent at all. If it wasn't for their tyrannical physique, they wouldn't have been able to defeat the orcs. If not for their strong physique and beast-like strength, they would not be a match for the human race. In short, in the current situation, in fact, both sides had their strengths and weaknesses. They kept each other in check and balance to maintain the current situation of constantly consuming each other's strength. If there was a heaven-shaking reversal in the end, then there would definitely be a powerful force that would directly break in. What's going on? The Lord of the Fallen Realm left the body of a female half-orc, quickly put on his clothes and walked out. It was not easy to be in a good mood today, and wanted to play some tricks. Who knew that such a thing would happen? This made the Lord of the Fallen Realm very unhappy. He had just gotten rid of a few crazy gluttons, and now there was another problem. Boom! The Lord of the Fallen Realm had not put on his pants properly. Directly, a powerful light beam fell from the sky. It directly shattered the place where the Lord of the Fallen Realm was. And the Lord of the Fallen Realm was directly crushed into pieces. Under the strong fluctuation of the light beam, he was turned into ashes. Some of the weapons on the starboat also launched attacks at this moment. Suddenly, a series of explosions came from Fallen City. Rumble, Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran also attacked at the same time. The mountain-toppling golden seal was constantly blasted out. The desolate heaven essence in Qi Yanran's hand was also used to an extremely powerful and amazing effect. Qi Yanran threw the desolate heaven essence in her hand into the sky. In the next moment, the desolate heaven essence turned into a white cloud. Then white light spots fell from the white cloud. It was as if they had turned into raindrops. In an instant, they fell and accurately penetrated the bodies of these half-orcs. Boom, boom, boom. The power of the desolate heaven essence turned into raindrops and easily killed the half-orcs in front of them. A series of raindrops fell. However, in the city, these half-orcs were difficult to find directly. Some of them were hiding, and it was harder to find. "Help me," Li Zhongjiu said. Qi Yanran did not hesitate, and directly transferred her power into Li Zhongjiu's body. Then, a white dragon figure appeared behind Li Zhongjiu. The dragon swept across the sky. Immediately, a terrifying divine power descended. A power that could not be seen with the naked eye directly swept across the entire city. Mental power. Boom. In an instant, the remaining half-orcs were all killed. In the entire fallen city, there were no more living creatures. Chapter 13:26. On the starboat, Jiang Bai and the others were looking at the situation below. Just now, Chu Yanguan had also controlled the starboat to launch a series of cannon blasts. However, the cannons on the starboat were almost worn out. Therefore, the power of the cannons had weakened a lot. However, under the attack of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran, these half-orcs in the fallen city had no chance to escape. A gust of wind blew. It stirred up the sand and dust in the fallen city. Dead, are they all dead? When Jiang Bai and the others saw that all the half-orcs in the fallen city had been killed, they were shocked. They bitterly resisted, and even racked their brains. They used every possible means to attack the fallen city. But after trying for a long time, they still didn't succeed. They had never succeeded. Now, under the leadership of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran, they were all killed in just a few minutes. In just 10 minutes, everything had been settled. There was no trace of any enemy in the entire fallen city. He was actually able to kill all of them. After Li Zhongjiu killed these half-orcs, the Hell of Merits was also shining with golden light. Within the golden light, there seemed to be a figure that was directly born. It was a gold core. Li Zhongjiu saw this gold core through his perception. However, this gold core seemed to be fixed in the Hell of Merits, and it seemed to be brewing something. There was no way to take it out, so it could only be left in the Hell of Merits. It seemed that the Hell of Merits didn't require any cultivation to begin with. Li Zhongjiu was also curious about the effects of the Hell of Merits, but there were still a lot of aftermath to clean up. Everyone landed in the fallen city and began to search for things around, but they found that all of them were dead. There was no one alive, and some of them didn't even have a single wound on their bodies. They died directly. The fallen city had been ruined by the half-beast men. After Jiang Bai and the others occupied the fallen city, they excitedly sent out signals to their respective barracks. At the same time, Jiang Bai sent 2 guards back to Suishan City as quickly as possible to mobilize the army. Fallen City had been taken down with great difficulty, so of course, they had to make good use of it. As long as the Battle of Time could regain control of Fallen City, this was the first step of the counterattack. Jiang Bai also sent out signals to the other cities. Along the way, there were still 2 other tribes that were besieging the city. One of them was the Tashan tribe. The Tashan tribe had an army of 300,000 half-blood beast men. They were very powerful and had been surrounding a city, but they weren't in a hurry to attack. The current situation was so chaotic. It was said that in the past 2 days, a heavenly master of Shang Kingdom had appeared and was killing people everywhere. Several tribes had already fallen in the hands of this person. Therefore, Tashan had to be careful. Otherwise, it would be too late for regrets if they were targeted by the celestial master of the Shang nation. The city that was confronting Tashan was a kingdom called the Water Nation. This kingdom was also staking everything on one throw. They had mobilized all their troops to the forefront. At this time, there were 500,000 troops stationed in Tianshui City. The king of the Water Nation was personally leading the battle. At this moment, the king of the Water Nation suddenly received signals from the Suishan Nation and the Yin Nation. Tomorrow, they would attack the Tashan tribe at the same time. Why did they suddenly come up with such a countermeasure? It was too late for them to defend themselves. How could they still have the strength to fight back? However, the king of the Water Nation was also a ruthless person. Now that he was surrounded by these people, he was quite sullen. Now that there was such a good opportunity to fight back, there was nothing to worry about. Pass down the order. Prepare for the decisive battle tomorrow. Let's see how we kill these bastards. Immediately, the king of the Water Nation let out a low growl. To the king of the Water Nation, being surrounded and delayed by these people was simply a humiliation. Now that he finally had a chance to fight back, he would spare no effort. The generals under his command also admired their king very much. If they were to defend passively, they would only be able to consume their soldiers passively. If they were to die today, 3,000 would die tomorrow. In the end, they would only be able to protect this city. The enemy could casually send some troops over, and they could easily break through the city. However, if they were to take the initiative to attack, they would definitely be able to achieve a surprising effect and completely defeat the enemy. Not only would they be able to break their formation, but they would also be able to break their morale. If you are ruthless, then I will be even more ruthless. That was what he thought. The next day, Patriarch Tashin was leisurely lying on a chair, made of human skin to rest and bask in the sun. The fallen tribe also liked to bask in the sun. They did not like to hide in a dark corner. If they liked to hide in a dark corner, there would be no need to attack these people's cities all day long. Counting the days, it has been 8 years since I left for the war. In another 2 years, I will have to replace the front line. Then I can go to the rear and rest. The fighting in the front line is really too dangerous. I can't believe that I can survive until the end. Tashin counted the days every day. The fallen tribe also had their own villages and towns. Even the cities that had been conquered had become the territory of the fallen clan, and they had treated them as their own homes. However, an outsider would always be an outsider, and would eventually be chased out. A huge explosion shook the surroundings. Even the king of Tianshui City, who was 10 miles away, he could clearly hear it. The time has come. Charge! The king of Tianshui Nation immediately roared. Suddenly, 400,000 soldiers rushed out. The remaining 100,000 soldiers stayed behind to guard the headquarters. At least, they could provide reinforcements at any time. Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yinran were both on a mountain peak, watching the battle below in full swing. It was not that Li Zhongjiu was unwilling to take action, but these people had been holding back for so long. Of course, it was appropriate for them to release the pressure in their hearts. If Li Zhongjiu took action and wiped out all of the Tashin tribe, it would be a threat to them. Only at the critical moment could they change the situation of the battle. After all, the soldiers of the human race were not incompetent. They were all real soldiers. The battle broke out in an instant. The three kingdoms and the Tashin tribe fought for 2 days, and the Tashin tribe was completely defeated. Although there were casualties among the three kingdoms, everyone was happy to kill. This was a desperate counterattack, a real counterattack. On the 3rd day, Tashin's head was chopped off by the king of Tianshui Nation. The king of Tianshui Nation chopped off the head of the Tashin tribe. Immediately, the joy in his heart poured out like a waterfall. His heart was filled with excitement and shock. Son, I've finally avenged you. I've slaughtered these bastards. The king of Tianshui Nation roared to the sky. 3 days of killing had exhausted him. But at this moment, he still persevered. He must fight to the last moment. The opportunity for the human race to fight back had finally arrived. Jiang Bai, Chu Yan, and the others also came to the king of Tianshui Nation. Jiang Bai of Tianshui Nation greets the king. Chu Yan Guan of Yin Nation. Chu Yan Guan did not stand on ceremony. After knowing this, the king of Tianshui Nation finally got to know these two strong allies. If the two of them had not brought a large number of reinforcements, the human race would not have been able to wipe out the Tashin tribe so quickly. You are. The king of Tianshui Nation glanced at Chu Yanguan. When Chu Yanguan nodded, the king of Tianshui Nation nodded in response. Since he knew a little, he did not continue to speak. Thank you for your help. The human race is in high spirits with the help of the two generals. The king of Tianshui Nation said with a smile. They had been besieged by these people from the fallen battlefield for 8 years. They had lost many soldiers and generals over the past 8 years. Today they could finally settle the score once and for all. It's not because of us. It's because of the two seniors who have been cultivating in seclusion. Without them, our city would have fallen a long time ago. Jiang Bai said. Nearly half a month had passed. Half a month ago, Jiang Bai and the others had discovered the traces of Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran at the Celestial Master Mountain. Now, in just half a month, the two of them had helped the Battle of Time defeat the fallen battlefield. They had completely wiped out a large portion of the fallen clan's forces. For the human race, this was a great victory. When the king of Tianshui Nation heard that such experts had appeared, he could not help but be surprised. He quickly asked the two of them to introduce him. However, Li Zhongjiu had already told Jiang Bai not to bring anyone to meet them. After all, he did not have the time and energy to greet these people. At this moment, Li Zhongjiu and Qi Yanran were cultivating in a mountain outside the fallen city. Most of his time should be spent on cultivation. Only with a strong cultivation could they save the sacred martial realm. However, in the sacred martial realm, there were many people who were stronger than Li Zhongjiu. They had already reached this level, but none of them had taken action. Obviously, Li Zhongjiu's current cultivation was not enough. Chapter 1327. Li Zhongjiu's mind sank into the Hell of Merits. At this moment, he was also studying the golden core in the Hell of Merits. I've never seen or heard of such a thing before. Where did it come from? Li Zhongjiu circled around the golden core. At the same time, as time passed, the golden core seemed to be spinning in circles, absorbing the golden light in the Hell of Merits. Finally, it gradually grew bigger. Originally, the golden core was only the size of an egg. In just a few days, it had already turned into the size of a bowl. Li Zhongjiu knocked on it, and found that the golden core was still solid. He wanted to move it, but he was powerless. The golden core was still in the same place, motionless. Looks like it's not time yet, Li Zhongjiu thought in his heart, and gave up on studying the golden core. Recently, Li Zhongjiu had also harvested a batch of medicinal herbs. The medicinal herbs of the sacred martial realm were rich in spiritual energy, and were quite old. It seemed that the people in the sacred martial realm rarely relied on pills to increase their cultivation. They just needed to cultivate as hard as they could. Or perhaps it was because the resources in this place were still insufficient, so there were no pills and the like. They were rather scarce. Only after the people above distributed the pills could they have such resources. The beast men did not know how to refine medicinal pills. Therefore, this batch of precious medicinal herbs fell into Li Zhongjiu's hands. He placed the Shura cauldron at the entrance of the courtyard. Li Zhongjiu also threw medicinal herbs into it. Li Zhongjiu directly refined a furnace of grade 8 elixir. However, there was no elixir thunder in the sky. This surprised Li Zhongjiu. Originally, he wanted to use the elixir thunder to refine his body. Unexpectedly, there was no elixir thunder in this place. Another batch of good medicinal herbs. Li Zhongjiu put away these medicinal pills. Now that his cultivation had reached this level, it was not easy to break through. Even if he took these medicinal pills every day, the effect would be minimal. He could only take it slow. However, it was still necessary to consolidate his means. Qi Yanran, on the other hand, was making rapid progress. Qi Yanran was now able to freely enter and exit the Bluebird platform. Little Blue has recovered. Qi Yanran suddenly appeared in front of Li Zhongjiu and said. Then, a small blue bird flapped its wings and flew briskly in front of Li Zhongjiu. It could be said that all these experiences were brought about by the mountain puffin. Li Zhongjiu didn't think that things would be so coincidental. This mountain seagull was actually so powerful. It directly changed their fates. And in the end, they inexplicably came to such a place. In fact, if they didn't come here, they wouldn't have had such an experience. Qi Yanran gently leaned her head on Li Zongjiu's shoulder. The two of them stood on top of the mountain, facing the setting sun, and quietly feeling the tranquility in the air. If only there were no wars in the world. Qi Yanran said slowly, wouldn't it be better if everyone lived in a peaceful environment? How can there be no wars in the world? Even if the beast man in front of us disappeared, the big countries in the sacred martial realm will definitely fight with each other. The disputes will never stop. Li Zongjiu said, only by being strong can one keep a place safe. The peace you see is just because someone is helping you carry the burden. Qi Yanran also nodded. She naturally understood these principles, but she also hoped to see a day of peace. However, it seemed to be impossible. Where there were people, there would be conflicts. This would never change. The battle of time had won a great victory. The 5 kingdoms had entered Fallen City one after another, and completed the restoration of this place. The Fallen City was completely reconstructed. With the strength of the 5 kingdoms, it was naturally easy to rebuild a city. Now was not the ancient times, where stones needed to be stacked up bit by bit. Instead, there were some large machines. It took a total of 5 days to restore the entire Fallen City. However, the news of the victory of the Battle of Time directly reached the ears of one of the countries, and it immediately caused a huge uproar. Immediately, he dispatched an emissary. It seemed that this was a very serious problem. Now, with the strength of the 5 kingdoms, they jointly built an important military camp in Fallen City. Before there was a leader, the representatives of the 5 kingdoms also specially gathered to discuss matters. The Water King did not come personally, but sent an old general to oversee this place. When they heard the news of the people from the 5 kingdoms coming, the generals of the 5 kingdoms also prepared a welcoming ceremony. At least, these people could come, which meant that they represented hope. The 5 kingdoms still valued them very much. The kingdom that came this time was called the Country of Fire. In the Country of Fire, there was an imperial tutor who directly cultivated on the Holy Mountain and became a disciple of the Holy Mountain, which made people envious. In the Country of Fire, there were at least 10 heavenly masters from the 5 kingdoms. Originally, the heavenly masters were all overseeing important places. This time, a heavenly master was specially sent here for them. To them, it was also a matter of great importance. Above Fallen City, when the time was up, a golden light suddenly broke through the sky from afar. Then, a golden warship directly emerged from this golden light. Just this radiance alone was enough to make the soldiers below feel extremely warm and comfortable. Even the fatigue brought on by the past few days gradually improved at this moment. It made people feel as if they were bathed in a spring breeze. It was really the work of a heavenly master. All the soldiers also knelt down in this direction, respectfully welcoming the arrival of the Shang Kingdom's celestial masters. If it weren't for the Shang Kingdom's celestial masters defending in more dangerous places, perhaps the enemy they would have to face would be even more terrifying. This was all because of the existence of these heavenly masters. Welcome, Heavenly Master. Welcome, Heavenly Master. From this golden warship, an old figure directly walked out. With one step, he soared into the air, and with another step, he arrived in front of Jiang Bai and the others. Everyone rise. I am the Heavenly Master of the Country of Fire, Chen Ju. Chen Ju's voice was directly transmitted into the ears of these people. Immediately, his voice continuously reverberated in their ears. It was as though he had directly carved a brand into them. The display of his strength this time around was also quite intimidating. In addition to Chen Ju, there were 2 young disciples accompanying him. These 2 young people looked arrogant between their eyebrows. Their clothes were clean and spotless, and the material was gorgeous, and the style was exaggerated. They looked like royalty patrolling such a place. There was also a hint of disdain in their eyes. Even if such a barren place is occupied by the fallen race, it doesn't matter much. That's right. I really don't know why they are still guarding such a place. Jiang Bai and the others were furious. The reason why they were able to conquer the fallen city was because of the sacrifice of countless people. They were able to hold on until now, and had the opportunity to launch a counterattack. However, these two young men actually called the fallen city a barbarian's land. Edited by Lifer, Fingerfox, translated by Ciencia World. Don't talk nonsense, Chen Ju reprimanded. But the expression on his face did not have the slightest intention of relaxing the blame. Jiang Bai and the others saw it, but they did not dare to say anything in their hearts. After all, the person in front of them was the real heavenly master of the country of fire. The two young people also snorted coldly at each other. Although Master said so, in fact, it was to take into account the heavenly master's face. Otherwise, there would be no need to go through so much trouble. These weak ants actually dared to put on an act in front of them. They could trample them to death in minutes. In fact, it would only take a single step to trample you to death. Let's talk inside. Chen Ju led the two disciples into the main hall. Now the main hall had been renovated, but in fact, it was only a very simple foundation that was built. It looked extremely simple and crude. Tell me, who helped you? Chen Ju sat on the high seat and said indifferently. Jiang Bai and the others looked at each other and clearly felt that there was something wrong with Chen Ju's tone. Why did it feel like he was not here to reward, but to blame? Heavenly Master. Heavenly Master, what do you mean? Jiang Bai was the most familiar with Li Zhongjio and the others. If the Heavenly Master really wanted to blame something, he would definitely not expose Li Zhongjio and the others. Therefore, he took the lead to stand out and test the Heavenly Master's tone. Chapter 1328. What do you mean? You idiots actually have the cheek to ask my master what he means. Hurry up and hand over that person, otherwise all of you will die. Next to Chen Ju, a disciple who looked younger stepped forward and shouted angrily. When they received this news, they were almost driven mad by the stupidity of the people of the Age War realm. They actually dared to claim victory at this time. If they really wanted to destroy the fallen war realm, could it be that their heavenly masters were not strong enough? Why would they need trash like you to take action, causing the current situation to be difficult to resolve? The current stable stalemate could be said to be the result of countless battles between the heavenly masters and the beast god temple. They only needed to maintain this situation for 2 more years. The human race would definitely be able to launch a counterattack. After the Sacred Mountains plan was completed, it would be extremely easy to kill these half-beastmen. They had already endured for 8 years. Could it be that they could not even withstand the last 2 years? What a bunch of idiots. When these words came out, Jiang Bai and the others were also surprised and shocked. They looked at each other. Clearly, they did not understand what these people meant. Shouldn't they be rejoicing over their victory? Looking at the situation in front of them, it seemed that they wanted to find the 2 seniors Li Zhongjio and interrogate them. No, they were clearly here to interrogate them. When the older senior saw the expressions on Jiang Bai and the rest's faces, he gently shook his head. These foolish, uncivilized and unintelligent people were after all limited to this point. Hence, he could not blame them. Immediately, he took a step forward and cleared his throat. There are some things that are difficult for you to understand at your current level. Let me put it this way. Now that the battle between the human race and the fallen race has stabilized, letting the fallen race gain a little advantage can reach the extent of confusing them, making them a little complacent, and let their guard down. However, you directly destroyed the fallen war realm today, which will definitely arouse the vigilance of the fallen race, and they will counterattack. Next, they will definitely counterattack with all their strength, leaving us with less and less time. Perhaps the losses caused will be even greater. The Sacred Mountain will have to pay a greater price to make up for the losses caused by your victory. The older man shook his head helplessly. Fortunately, they discovered it in time. If they tried to salvage the situation now, they would at least be able to make it in time. After all, they were here to salvage the situation. However, it was a pity for these people. Presumably, only a few of them would survive. Jiang Bai and the others finally understood. It turned out that the reason why these heavenly masters had not made a move was because they were afraid of angering these people from the Beast God Temple. At that time, if these people from the Beast God Temple retaliated, there would definitely be greater losses and trouble. This was also the real reason why they were unwilling to make a move. Haha. What you all are saying is that you'll be able to take advantage of the situation. Do you know how many soldiers and citizens of our 5 nations will die? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Chu Yen stepped forward, his eyes bloodshot, and his body trembling as he glared at the people in front of him. Is the Great Chu country not enough? Is this what you call a small advantage? Chu Yingguan's voice trembled. Great Chu state. At the front line of resisting the fallen clan, the first to rise up and counterattack was the Shanghua. Back then, the Great Chu state was at its peak. There were more than 100 supreme being experts. These experts were equivalent to the heavenly masters of the Shanghua. However, when the Great Chu state rose up and counterattacked, the other great nations did not help at all. Instead, they watched coldly from the sidelines and fought a bitter battle. The Great Chu state was completely destroyed. Hundreds of heavenly masters, none of them surrendered. However, all of them died in battle. What a heroic act. At the same time, it was equivalent to completely angering the Beast God Temple. From then on, the entire sacred martial realm fell into the flames of war. The Beast God Temple announced an all-out attack. The remaining 5 great nations formed a war zone with each other and created the Sacred Mountain. With the Sacred Mountain as the leader, they led the remaining people to resist. In fact, if they had joined forces to attack at the same time, they would not have ended up like this. It was because the remaining 5 great nations were afraid of the Great Yin state's strength. Therefore, they did not make a move and watched coldly from the sidelines. It was only after the Great Yin state was destroyed that they were willing to take action. Only then did they form an alliance and barely resist the Beast God Temple's attack. However, the world knew very little about the secret of the past. Most of the people only knew that it was because of the Great Yin Kingdom's resistance that they had the time to form the alliance of great nations. Only then did they have the opportunity to create the Sacred Mountain. However, they did not know that it was because they were afraid of angering the Beast God Temple. At the same time, they also wanted to exhaust the strength of the Great Yin state. Therefore, they did not form an alliance. If that was the case, it was really despicable and shameless. Jiang Bai and the others did not expect that Chu Yingguan would reveal such a big secret. They did not even know about it before. However, the celestial master in front of them was obviously treating them, the people of small countries, as sacrificial lambs. He even directly treated them as food and deliberately threw them to the fallen race. He used this method to delay the fallen race's attack and give them enough time to make some bullshit preparations. You are a remnant of the Great Yin state. Chen Zhu glanced at Chu Yingguan. There was not the slightest bit of panic on his face. On the contrary, he was quite angry. If the Great Yin state did not betray the sacred martial realm, how could the fallen clan form an attack so quickly? If you did not activate the teleportation array, how could the fallen clan cross the boundary and come here? Chen Zhu reprimanded. The crowd could not tell what was going on. It seemed that there was a hidden story behind it. Bullshit! Chu Yingguan roared. He raised the sword in his hand and stabbed at Chen Zhu. Obviously, Chu Yingguan would not allow these people to slander the warriors of the Great Yin state. You are courting death. Bang! The older disciple directly waved his hand, and a blast of energy directly sent Chu Yingguan flying dozens of meters away. Chu Yingguan immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His body fell to the ground with a bang. How dare you challenge the heavenly master with the strength of a mortal? Jiang Bai and the others could no longer hold back when they saw that their comrade was sent flying by the opponent. They all drew their swords and stood up. Jiang Bai's guards also surrounded Chu Yingguan to protect him. You are all from the great nation. Don't you think this is too much? Jiang Bai's eyes were burning with anger. They were simply not treating them as humans. If that was the case, they did not need to rely on the bullshit heavenly master of the great nation. There were many things that could not be clearly explained by one's mouth. A discerning person could naturally see who was right and who was wrong at a glance. Chu Yingguan had led the troops to fight in the Yun nation and had never retreated half a step. However, these so-called heavenly masters of the great nation were nowhere to be found. Now that they had appeared, they actually dared to hurt the comrades that they protected with their lives. Are you delusional enough to challenge the might of the Heavenly Master? The senior brother took a step forward and released a powerful aura in an instant. It suppressed the crowd to the point that they could not breathe. They even felt that their bodies were about to explode. The junior brother at the side looked at the scene and smiled disdainfully. They were just a bunch of lowly ants. How dare they act so presumptuously in front of them? Just when Jiang Bai and the others were about to collapse, a gentle breeze suddenly blew past and directly extinguished the aura. The senior martial brother was also surprised. Jiang Bai and the others were surprised to find that there was no longer any pressure on their bodies. Instead, they were incomparably relaxed. Moreover, after being suppressed just now, their bodies seemed to have been injected with energy, allowing them to recover directly. Look, I told you. Some people are even more half-beastmen than those half-beastmen. They are practically half-beastmen. A voice rang out outside the hall. Then two young figures walked in. Senior. Jiang Bai was pleasantly surprised when he saw the newcomers. They were Li Zongjio and Qi Yanran. However, Jiang Bai's expression quickly changed. Senior, leave quickly. They are here to kill you. Chapter 1329. At this moment, Jiang Bai did not think of escaping because of these people. Instead, he quickly reported to Li Zongjio. After all, Li Zongjio and the others' actions were the real act of saving the human race. As for these heavenly masters from the heavenly kingdom in front of them, they were simply a group of thieves. They did not even know what kind of ugly dealings they had with the beast god temple. Now it must be because their cooperation had been destroyed, so they acted like this. Want to leave? The young junior brother directly snorted. He had long wanted to capture these people, but they actually caused so much trouble. A group of mortals who did not understand the sacrifices they had made behind the scenes, and only knew how to cause trouble. Such ants, if they were to be trampled to death, so be it. Nonsense. Qi Yanran snorted coldly, flipped her wrist across the air, and slapped toward this junior brother. Bam! This junior brother's body was directly slapped against the wall of the main hall, and directly flew out. He did not have the strength to fight back, and was easily flattened like a fly. How dare you hurt my junior brother? Immediately, the senior brother was shocked. These people in front of him were actually so bold to cause trouble here, and even dared to sneak attack. Kneel! Li Zongjio directly shouted in a low voice. Immediately, this senior brother's knees directly smashed into the floor with a thud. His whole body also knelt down, and the moment his knees landed, they had already broken both of his legs. It was full of strength and was quite strong. Immediately, this senior brother also spat out a mouthful of blood. The intense pain from his legs made this senior brother feel for the first time that his bones were broken. Li Zongjio also deliberately magnified his pain by 10 times. So at this moment, he felt it very clearly. Seeing that Li Zongjio and the senior brother had actually taken care of the other parties, 2 disciples so easily, they were not on the same level at all. In this way, it seemed that Li Zongjio's strength might be even stronger than this heavenly master of the heavenly kingdom in front of him. Otherwise, this heavenly master from the country of fire would not have allowed his disciple's legs to be broken and his other disciple to be thrown out. Qi Yanran came to Chu Yanguan's side and helped him up. At the same time, he sent a stream of essence force into Chu Yanguan's body to help him recover. To deal with a little girl, they were actually so vicious. These people were obviously not good people. In the beginning, the two of them did not rush over directly. Instead, he was observing the situation from afar with his mental power. He waited until Chu Yanguan was injured by the other party before he came over. He wanted to teach the person in front of him a lesson. He was too arrogant and presumptuous. Were you looking for me just now? Li Zongjio walked to the front and came directly in front of Chenju, as if he did not care if the other party would launch a sneak attack. However, when Chenju saw the movements of Li Zongjio and Qi Yanran, he knew that the two of them were close to the Supreme Being realm. However, it was obvious that they had not reached the Supreme Being realm and were not enough to make Chenju wary. However, the two of them were quite powerful. If he could recruit them, they would definitely be able to increase the strength and glory of the country of fire. He originally thought that it was just two reckless Yuan monarchs causing trouble here. However, now it seemed that the battle had changed because of the two of them. Moreover, the two of them were not weak. If he could recruit them, he could make use of them. I am the heavenly master of the country of fire. Where are the two of you cultivating? It could be seen that the two of them were still very young. They were even younger than Chunju's two disciples. Clearly, there must be a powerful master behind the two of them. Perhaps, this was only one of the other party's trials. The other party's master might not be clear about the current chaotic situation, so he asked, "You should call me Grandpa in front of your ancestors." Li Zongjio sat down opposite Chunju with a swagger and spoke without any scruples. He did not give Chunju any face at all. He did not even give the country of fire any face. Immediately, Chunju's expression froze. Li Zongjio was provoking him too much. Did he really want to fight to the death? Jiang Bai and the others did not expect Li Zongjio to humiliate the other party in public so domineeringly. "Young man, you should be careful with your words. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. I am giving your master face this time." Chunju's expression did not change at all. However, anyone could tell that Chunju was not in a good mood. He was also expressionless when he spoke. "Oh, then I will give you face too." After Li Zongjio finished speaking, he flicked his finger. The head of the senior brother, who had been shouting at the side, was directly blown off. It exploded into pieces instantly. Everyone present was a veteran of hundreds of battles. Some of them had even been slashed to the bone. What kind of tragic scene had they not seen before? Therefore, when they saw such a scene, they did not feel the slightest bit of shock. In fact, they even felt an incomparably carefree feeling in their hearts. Just now, these people kept calling them ants and mortals. They simply did not treat them as humans. With such disrespect, even if they had great strength, they would not have a good ending. Look, their words came true immediately. You are courting death." Chunju could no longer sit still. A terrifying origin energy erupted from him. His body was burning with flames. Moreover, Chunju's eyes were spewing flames of anger. However, he did not make a move. This was because Chunju was not sure if he was a match for these two people. Moreover, these two people seemed to reveal a trace of strangeness. This made Chunju vigilant in his heart. Although a disciple had died, there was no need to put himself in danger. "I will bear with it first. When the time comes, I will find someone to deal with you," Chunju thought in his heart. However, he clenched his fists and put them down again. "Are you kidding me? I killed your disciple. You clenched your fists and you are done? Isn't that too perfunctory? What if I kill another one?" Immediately, Li Zongjio made a grabbing motion in the air and grabbed the younger junior fellow apprentice from the pile of ruins. With a whoosh, he landed in front of Li Zongjio. Qi Yanran's palm strike just now could be considered to have spared his life. However, his injuries could not be healed so quickly. Therefore, after being hit, he was lying on the ground and could not get up for a long time. At this moment, he was also caught in Li Zongjio's hand. His palm was pressed against the latter's head. Immediately, this junior brother saw his senior brother's corpse. Although his body was in an extremely bad condition, at this moment, he was also frantically twisting his body. "Master, save me! Save me!" Immediately, this junior brother also begged his master, hoping that his master would save him. "Young man, don't go overboard. If you kill him, the country of fire will definitely not let you." Bam! Li Zongjio's 5 fingers exerted a little force. It was as if he was crushing an egg, and he directly crushed this person's head. After that, Li Zongjio also wiped the bloodstains on his hands on his body. "What did you just say?" Li Zongjio seemed to have just heard Chunju's words. He asked Chunju with a blank face. A dignified celestial master of the country of fire. 2 of his disciples had died in front of him. But he was indifferent. It was not that he was indifferent, but he did not dare to move at all. "Born cowards, you have the nerve to do this?" Li Zongjio could see that these people really did not have any guts at all. When they bullied their own people, they were sonorous and forceful. Once they met a really ruthless person, they did not even dare to fart. Today I, the dignified celestial master of the country of fire, will definitely let you know how powerful I am." Chen Zhu roared angrily. The aura on his body exploded again, and he directly rushed toward Li Zhongjie. Li Zhongjie was simply too much of a bully. He had killed his disciples in front of everyone, and even humiliated him in front of everyone. "Even if you are capable, how can I, the dignified celestial master of the country of fire, be frightened by you juniors?" Then, he directly circulated his essence force, and suddenly struck toward Li Zhongjie's head. In this palm, he had circulated his essence force to the extreme, and it directly condensed into a terrifying force that sealed the space around Li Zhongjie. The crowd could only see that Li Zhongjie seemed to be instantly surrounded by this ball of flames. Immediately they all exclaimed. Chen Zhu also realized that Li Zhongjie could not dodge at all. He was secretly delighted. It turned out that this trash was just bluffing, and did not have any real abilities. It was a good opportunity to kill Li Zhongjie and restore his reputation. Boom! When Chen Zhu's palm, which was condensed with the fire essence force, hit Li Zhongjie hard, the corners of his mouth could not help but curl up. Next, he just waited for Li Zhongjie to fly out directly. However, Li Zhongjie just stood at the same spot. It could be said that his feet did not move at all. At the same time, he looked at the person in front of him with an extremely shocked expression. "Why don't you use your full strength?" Chapter 1330. Li Zhongjie stood where he was, and used his body to block Chen Zhu's palm. From Chen Zhu's point of view, Li Zhongjie should have been smashed to pieces by this palm. If not, his body should have been sent flying, and he should have been burned to ashes in midair. Suddenly, Chen Zhu felt that the power that he had injected into Li Zhongjie's body was rapidly returning. Not good. Chen Zhu immediately leaped up, wanting to escape towards the back. However, it was too late. The power that Chen Zhu had just sent out had circulated in Li Zhongjie's body, and returned to Chen Zhu's body. Bang! Chen Zhu's entire body was sent flying. In midair, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body fell to the ground. Moreover, the power of flames instantly spread across Chen Zhu's body. The terrifying burning power caused Chen Zhu to be in great pain. Spare my life!" Chen Zhu's entire body was on fire as he shouted at Li Zhongjie. However, it didn't last long before it was burned to ashes with a boom. The dignified heavenly master of the Shang nation was burned to ashes in front of everyone. When everyone saw this, they were stunned. In their impression, the celestial master of the Shang Empire must be very strong. But today he died in front of them, right under their noses. However, no one felt sorry for this because in their opinion, these people deserved to die. Previously, they had actually said that they would let these beastmen take advantage of them, and use the power of a few small countries to fill their stomachs. This way they would not launch too fierce an attack. There was no need to respect people who did not care about the lives of ordinary people. In the past, I thought that these heavenly masters of the Shang nation had really tried their best. Jiang Bai mocked himself. He did not expect that they had fought so hard at the front line, and narrowly escaped death. However, they had only been treated as a buffer. They did not even care about their lives. Chu Yan had already recovered. "Everyone, don't give up. There are many people like us who are fighting back with all their might. We can't let these people die in vain." When he said this, Chu Yanguan could not help but shed tears. In fact, Chu Yanguan wasn't the princess of the Chu Yan kingdom, but the princess of the Yin kingdom. Just like the other great kingdoms, the strength of the great Yin kingdom back then was definitely second to none. However, it was precisely because the strength of the great Yin kingdom was too strong and too powerful that these people were afraid of it. That was why he hit a man when he was down back then. Even when the great Yin kingdom was besieged, he did not lend a hand. Jiang Bai and the others looked at Chu Yan. The dignified great Yin kingdom was destroyed in one night. All over the country, tens of millions of people were killed. No one survived. In order for Chu Yanguan to survive, the royal family had paid a great price to send Chu Yanguan out. Since then, Chu Yanguan had been on the road of escape. Then he went to the Chu Yin kingdom. The Chu Yin kingdom, and the Great Yin Kingdom were old friends. Moreover, the Chu Yin Kingdom's king clearly knew that the Great Yin Kingdom was the real power to resist the half-beastmen back then. As for these people now, they were just a group of cowards who were hiding in their shells. They were not on the same level at all. In order to avenge his father and his country, Chu Yanguan had to fight back. Therefore, Chu Yanguan did not hesitate to join the frontline battle. Even now, the 5 great kingdoms of the Holy Mountain wanted to find the survivors of the Great Yin Kingdom and kill them one by one. This way, they could completely control the hearts of the people. It was truly vicious to the extreme. You children, you have swords and sabers in your hands. If you always wait for others to save you, you will die sooner or later. If you want to live, you must not put your hope in others. Li Zongjiu also sighed. Even though he was the evil venerable, when he heard about such a thing, he could only imagine how heroic that scene was. In the end, he actually ended up like this because of jealousy. The human heart was terrifying. It was hard to imagine. Therefore, when the almighty evil lord heard such a thing happen, he was also very moved. Li Zongjiu's words had a little effect on them. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed so. If they always waited for these people to save them, they would all die sooner or later. We just didn't expect that even these heavenly masters from the Great Kingdom would be unreliable. Not all of them are like this. Not everyone is like this. There are also some true cultivators who want to save the world, said Chu Yanguan. Chu Yanguan said, only when you are in pain would you think about how to get yourself out of it. This time, the country of fire will definitely investigate thoroughly after killing the heavenly masters of the country of fire. Seniors, you should leave this place as soon as possible. As for the deaths of these 3 people, we can say that they were killed by the half-beastmen. Jiang Bai and the others were now thinking about how to escape for Li Zongjiu and Chu Yanguan. Li Zongjiu and Chu Yan had already helped them too much. This time, offending the country of fire would definitely cause endless trouble in the future. We won't go anywhere. Since this fallen city has been attacked, where are we going next? Said Qi Yanran. At the same time, there was a very angry look in her eyes. After all, these people were really too much. How could they do such a thing and send these innocent people to their deaths? It was simply embarrassing. If a cultivator could not shoulder their own mission, then what was the use of their abilities? It was not that they should be chivalrous and do good deeds all day long. This was already a matter of life and death for the human race. How could it have nothing to do with them so easily? Let's stay and help them. Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjiu and said. Li Zongjiu was stunned. Although it was said that Li Zongjiu's nature was freewheeling, and he only wanted to help his family and establish a real big family, who would have thought that they would come to such a place, encountering such a ferocious battle? If they stayed, it would be equivalent to dealing with the beast god temple on one hand, and dealing with the group of hypocrites on the holy mountain on the other. Of course, Li Zongjiu was not afraid of either side. However, once he decided to do this, Li Zongjiu would definitely not give up halfway. Qi Yanran also knew that her decision might be a little capricious. However, Qi Yanran also knew that if the 2 of them did not help, perhaps tomorrow, the people in the battle of time would be easily destroyed. The strength of these people was not a joke. Dealing with the people in the battle of time would definitely be an easy task. Li Zongjiu had never liked to be restrained. But this time, Qi Yanran also hoped that Li Zongjiu would agree. Okay, Li Zongjiu said. Qi Yanran's eyes suddenly lit up. How could Jiang Bai and the others not understand at this moment that Li Zongjiu and Chu Guan were willing to stay and help them? What an honor this was. They were finally saved. Don't worry with me, evil lord here. These strange things will not be allowed to be presumptuous. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Since they were going to do it, they should really do it. Jiang Bai and the others cheered. And Chu Guan was also very happy. Finally, they were saved. Chapter 1331. This was not a game. Instead, a real battle awaited them. If they failed, tens of millions of lives would be lost. Now only 5 small countries had joined, but in the future, there would definitely be other forces joining. Li Zongjie wasn't good at arranging troops and fighting wars. If Wan Yulan was here, she would definitely be able to command these messy troops well. At least, the situation would not be as chaotic as it was now. Li Zongjie did not care about the arrangement of the battlefield. He just asked Jiang Bai to pay attention. If there were some opponents that he could not deal with, he could directly hand them over to them. The 5 generals of the Battle of Time. Now they were finally united for a meeting. Even if the generals were to sit together, they still needed to recommend a real leader. As for the countries behind these generals, they were all in charge of the rear and provided supplies. They did not even know that Li Zongjie had already killed a heavenly master. But after all, the military power was in the hands of these generals, and Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran were also quite famous in the army. With just a few words, they would immediately pick up their swords and spears and charge forward to fight. The general recommended by everyone was handed over to Jiang Bai. He would become the leader of the 5 generals. First of all, Jiang Bai and Li Zongjie were more familiar with each other. Moreover, Jiang Bai's talent was indeed very high. In terms of combat experience, the people present were almost the same. No one had ever been a coward. In this case, the opportunity naturally fell on Jiang Bai, who was twice as young as him. As for Chu Yinguan, with his ability to lead troops, he was still much worse than Jiang Bai. Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran went to arrange a large array for the fallen city. In the next period of time, they must use the fallen city as a base to launch a thorough counterattack. When the Battle of Time began to counterattack, the pressure on the other Battle of Time would naturally be reduced by a lot. The rest of the people would certainly be able to feel the changes on the battlefield and automatically unite. There was no need for these people from the Heavenly Master to take action. They could handle these things themselves. Now, Fallen City has a total of 600,000 soldiers from 5 countries. Today we have taken down the Fallen City. The Beast God Temple will definitely send people to attack us. Our goal in this 1 month is to defend the city. General Luo, I need your troops to investigate the garrison. The intelligence of the garrison will be handed over to your Wind Country's army. Country of Wind, General Luo Yong. Luo Yong accepts the order. Leave it to me. General Chu, the enemy will definitely attack fiercely. I estimate that the battle will last for more than a month. Our reserves won't be able to last that long. Within 3 days after the battle, I want to find their headquarters. Jiang Bai said to Chu Yen. Although Chu Yinguan was the princess of the Great Yin Kingdom, her current identity was that of a general of the Yin Kingdom. Since he was personally leading the troops, he had to obey his orders. Chu Yen accepts the order. In addition, the archers of the Moon Nation and the troops of the Water Nation are to immediately start building defensive fortifications and traps. When the war starts, the troops of my country will be the vanguard. A series of arrangements showed Jiang Bai's talent in commanding. He had arranged the troops of the 5 nations in an orderly manner. As for the top experts of the enemy, there was no need to worry about them. With the formation set up by Li Zongjie, the enemy would only die no matter how many came. There was no need to worry at all. In the sky above the fallen city, Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran had finished setting up the formation. Qi Yinran came to Li Zongjie's side. You won't blame me, right? Am I too capricious? Qi Yinran was worried that Li Zongjie would be angry, because this decision was very immature. Although the 2 of them were very strong, and could even roam freely in the Holy Martial Continent, they were basically invincible in the world. However, this was the Holy Martial Realm, and there were no less than 6 experts in the Holy Martial Realm. There would even be more experts, and this number could only be increased. Qi Yinran's decision would undoubtedly put the 2 of them in a dangerous situation. Silly girl, as long as I'm here, I won't let you make a mistake. Li Zongjie took Qi Yinran in his arms. There was no need to say anything more. Li Zongjie would certainly give his full support to his woman's decision. Even if it was wrong, he would fight until everyone in the world said that it was right. If anyone disagreed, then he would kill them all. This was the style of the evil lord. He would do whatever he wanted. What's more, Qi Yinran now said that she would stay and save these people. Someone had to come and save them, right? Li Zongjie and Qi Yinran were such people. There was always someone who had to carry the burden forward. Since Qi Yanran had decided to be such a person, Li Zongjia would have to carry all the burden. Fallen City had been preparing for half a month. During this half a month, it was calm and peaceful. It was worth mentioning that when the king of the country of wind found out that the people of Fallen City had killed a heavenly master, he actually ordered the troops of the country of wind to retreat and return to his own headquarters. Obviously, he wanted to get rid of this matter. But General Luo Yong of the country of wind, it took him 2 days to return to the country of wind and directly cut off the head of the king of wind. He was greedy for life and afraid of death. It was the existence of such a person that hindered the development of many things. It was already such a chaotic world, but he was still so timid. Luo Yong's country of wind also directly gained great support from the people. As for the rich and the country gentry and the like, he didn't put them in his eyes at all. Jiang Bai and the others also admired Luo Yong's behavior. These people were thinking of ways to fight here with their lives on the front line, helping you think of ways to resist the danger. But this group of trash only thought about how to protect themselves all day long. Wouldn't they kill you in minutes? The glorious battle results of the Battle of Time had also spread to the ears of the Holy Mountain. A mere battle of time actually dared to challenge the authority of the Holy Mountain, especially when it was said that a troublesome guy called Evil Lord had appeared recently. For such troublemakers, it was necessary to take them down quickly and ruthlessly, let them know how powerful they were. But now it seemed that they didn't need to do anything, because the Beast God Temple had already sent out a powerful army. It was called the Plague Army. The Plague Army, a fierce army of 7 million half-beastmen, was now pressing on the border. His only thought was to conquer the War of Time realm. Even the Holy Mountain had sent people to negotiate, but they were directly beaten back. The Fallen City would never let such a thing happen. They couldn't give these humans any hope. Country of Fire, the capital. The flames of war were swirling in the outside world. But the country of fire was peaceful and magnificent. Even the surrounding buildings were quite perfect, and the people living here were also quite extravagant. In the palace, there were already many officials who wanted to completely wipe out the Battle of Time. These people actually dared to kill the heavenly masters they sent out. They were simply lawless. If it weren't for the fact that the country of fire had provided so many weapons to the other countries, they actually repaid kindness with enmity. They were simply a group of ingrates. Every day during the court assembly, there would be a quarrel over this matter. Your Majesty, this is a good opportunity to send troops. As long as we protect the Fallen City and destroy the Plague Army, the dignity of the Fallen City will no longer exist. Our human race will definitely be able to revive. We can't let these Fallen City people succeed, said a minister. This group of barbarians in the Battle of Time killed our heavenly masters, and you still want to send troops to help them? Are you stupid? In my opinion, Your Majesty, we should immediately take down the kings of the 5 countries in the Battle of Time and behead them in public to show our country's prestige. Someone directly stood up and said angrily, "Haha, Sun Gongbao, you're really capable. You don't dare to kill so many half-orcs, but you're awe-inspiring after killing a few human compatriots." Hi Duke Zhao. I'm doing this for the sake of the country of fire. As for the half-beastmen, what's there to be afraid of? Wherever the Great Yen cavalry passes, we'll definitely slaughter all the fallen half-beastmen. That's that. I'm talking about Heavenly Master Chenju now. Sun Gongbao was also a cunning person. He casually rounded things up and quickly turned the sharp spearhead around. Alright, the two of you stop quarreling. The king of Great Yin had finally spoken. If he still didn't speak up, the court assembly would probably become a war of words again. The matter of the Battle of Time will naturally be passed down after the people of the Heavenly Master Association have discussed it. Other than that, if there's nothing else, the court assembly will be dismissed. I'm tired, said the king of Great Yin. A little eunuch beside him immediately shouted, "Court assembly is dismissed." Minister Zhao's face was also filled with anxiety. The Fallen City had already sent troops. If they still didn't act, it would be too late. This clearly meant that they didn't want to send troops. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.